Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chaotic Neutral Games for our 5th edition campaign, The Benefactor. I'm Simon Cantor, the DM, and I'm joined here today by Rodrigo, Felicia. I still have to count you off on the cameras. Nick, Kate, and Corinne. They're going to be going into a scenario today where they're going to their greatest challenge yet. A soiree, a polite and civilized soiree, where Glory has found out that there's a surge in the production of residuum in Ostergald. Now, the thing about residuum in Ostergald is that Ostergald doesn't make any residuum. It's an industry city, it mass produces items, it's got 3 gold mines, no residuum mines, and there are no known residuum seams anywhere in the vicinity. So that's something that's very strange. Not only that, but for those who are following us for the first time or watching for the first time, hello everybody. We are kind of coming off the back of a previous plot hook where a red dust was seen in a shipment that they were asked to intercept as part of their first ever mission, in fact. And the red dust was red residuum. I know there's going to be a lot of parallels with red lyrium, but bear with me here. And as a result, they're very interested in seeing whether these two are connected. However, the answers are in a soiree. Now, they've already gone through some harrowing trials, one of which being going to a clothes designer and being given outfits. And now they have already turned up and they're in the foyer of this upper-class house in Ostergald, in the merchant district of Ostergald, where they're now going to have to dance, schmooze, and generally be pleasant. Let's see if they survive. Let's switch you guys on. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm so terrified. What are you doing?
I know. I took a bunch of gamers to go socialize. I mean, this is why we game, so we don't have to.
So, people with -2 and -1 charisma do not talk at all. Just go away.
Sorry, you all have challenges. None of you are spared.
This is gonna be fun.
Okay.
But yeah.
I'm scared.
Okay, so could you describe the foyer for us again?
Absolutely, I'll bring you back into the scene. So you came by carriage, even though you're only from a few blocks away. And you made your entrance after a very caustic woman that I mentioned before. He says, bringing up his notes to make sure that I've got the right person. Yes. And you understood that Lady Emmeline Telford got off off her carriage, because there was a kind of queue going up to the large sweeping staircase into the manor house. She got out first, and she was clearly in a mood. Lady Emmeline Telford is the de facto civil leader of the city. Yes, the city is owned by Duke Edmund Ostermark. The place is Ostergald. He is Duke Edmund Ostermark III. But she is a distant relative of his that he keeps as a professional busybody in the city to represent his interests. Mostly she represents her own interests. And she mostly spends her time in the law courts and in the city halls, generally intimidating people and sticking her nose in where it's not wanted. And she got in just before you. Thankfully, she's nowhere to be seen. She's clearly trudged off to wherever she intends to. So you go into the front foyer. The first person, according to my notes, that you encountered was Hobra Winterscribe, a master oviate of the city. An oviate is it's actually a Celtic term in the same way that bards are. So where bards would put together lore from song and story, oviates were usually wise men, actually wise men and women, elders, and they would be the one who comes to the truth of a matter. Okay, oviates in this particular case and bards double up as journalists in my world, because they collect the stories, check the facts, send it out there. Okay, So there is there are stories that they put forward as pure fantasy, but there are also historical stories and lore that they are willing to pass on, and it's how a lot of bards get paid, certainly Ovians. The second set of people that you met on the way in, you kind of passed them as they were talking to each other, was, let me get this right, Marissa and Celine. Marissa being a human female who is the head of the Scriveners Guild. Scrivener meaning a scribe or somebody who writes for a living. Celine is part of the Entertainers Guild. The Entertainers Guild being escorts, courtesans, companions, anything along those lines, hostesses and things, and they generally make sure that a social event goes on the way it should do. And they are professional socialites, I guess. So Rachel did actually go and greeted Glory and said to kind of catch up later on. And if they didn't catch up for whatever reason, obviously Rachel is working at the moment, she said to meet her the next day in her usual cafe, which is thankfully just around the corner, where she normally has her red eye coffee and substantial breakfast before she has to do whatever she has to do in the day.
So I assume it's with the courtesans, they're essentially the courtesans of old Japan that did like tea ceremonies, calligraphy and that kind of stuff, but also, as you said, high class kind of sex workers as well.
Yes, I mean they cover the entire range. Yeah. I've made an area so that things like gender, body positivity, sex positivity, things like that are all much better than this world. They don't have any puritanical background that has tied them down. The Entertainers Guild covers the broad spectrum, so much so that no assumptions are made. Usually, if something is available, you'll be told, not even in code, but just in a polite and discreet manner, so that you can say yes or no to the things that you want. So when Eclipse turned around and said, "Oh, do I pay now?" which was part of last session, and both Gloria and Rachel were like, "No," and kind of stopped you right there. That kind of thing is talked about in a particular way, in a particular manner, and it was one of those things that
she wondered if you would needed to pay to talk to them because they were working on the event, as just entertainers, as talking to you and keeping you entertained, not in a sexual way.
The talk of money, because this is supposed to be a social setting and they're supposed to blend seamlessly with the event, no talk of money is made until it becomes relevant, and usually in a very discreet way. It's considered a bit of a faux pas to talk about money, but then I would expect Eclipse to make that mistake.
Yeah,
which is why
she hasn't been to a social event like this before.
Because the only person who's been to a social event like this before is Glory. So I'm expecting mistakes to be made as part of the narrative. Okay.
Oh, mistakes will be made and often.
So you met them in So you met them in a very large foyer, and when we left you, you were just approaching a set of double doors going into the main room. I described the room somewhat, but I will repeat myself. Okay, so a little different to the piece of classic art that I've put up on the map screen. You guys are walking into a room where a very joyful music is going ahead. I mean, it's got a definite bounce to it, and the people in the middle of the room are dancing to it almost perfectly in patterns and things along those lines. So sometimes concentric circles moving around each other, sometimes paired off but all moving the same way, sometimes in certain trails or rows or whatever. And it seems that everybody's been taught how to do these dances. So when you step in there, there's a little bit of intimidation by the fact that it seems like everybody seems to know what to do other than you. Glory, of course, is well versed. The rest of you, your awkwardness is part of the narrative, so we're going to savour in it. Around the dance floor, there are tables where certain cliques and camps of various notable people and notable organizations are amassed. There's a bunch of dwarves that are sat together as a local kind of dwarven business group. There's some elves, half-elves, and humans who are clearly part of another different type. But then others are separated not by race or profession, but by their patrons. So you will see that there's a clearly self-important character to which everybody is looking their way. Like miniature lectures are being given around the room. But it is mostly that, these people are attending this influential figure to gain favor. Also, people are stood up. So Glory knows that the people who are standing as part of the party etiquette, and this is a semi-formal party etiquette, is that you can walk up to a conversation where somebody is standing at any time. However, going to somebody who's sat down, you normally have to greet them and wait to be invited to the table, or stand there awkwardly until you're expected to walk away. There is a substantial bar that extends even further to a lot of beautiful, excessive, bright-coloured foods. And there's also side rooms where you can see, in some cases, the curtains that serve as doors for these rooms are open, and there's nobody stood guard. And there's others where the curtains are shut, and there's a very formidable-looking, very clearly security staff stood in front of the room. So kind of members-only areas. These areas are for private socializing, making of deals, going off and smoking the cigars, drinking the brandy, and going through your machinations, and also gambling. Okay, so rather than just turning around and asking you all where both your characters, and I'm sure yourselves, are a little bit lost of what to do, I'm going to give you some options, and you guys can choose one of those options, or you can choose something new and different, something that you've come up with. So your options are, you can go and dance. If you go and dance, you are largely going and being around people who want to socialize. They're dancing after all. So they're there to meet new people. Okay. The second thing you can do is mingle. And that means going to the people who have stood up and trying to find another conversation where you think you'll be able to get in by some means, either by showing some knowledge, or at least showing some interest in the subject, and hopefully gaining the ear of somebody that way. You can approach a prominent member. I gave you some names last week of people who are going, people that Glory's research and also Eclipse's research of some of Glory's research was available for you to be able to go and approach certain members of high society. Okay? So that's approach. You can also drink. Drinking is absolutely fine. Going up to the bar and tanking it down with young nobles and all the rest of it, absolutely fine. That in itself will be a way of socializing, as you get the usual amount of sullen, stressed business folk and rowdy young go-getters. And then the final thing from dance, approach, and drink is gamble. As I say, some of these rooms have got people playing games. If the curtain is open, you can go in. The only thing about this that Glory warned about last week is that you might not be able to afford the stakes. Or because
is there a table where they're playing D&D?
It's all gonna go Inception.
Holy shit!
They're playing humans and taxes. Humans and taxes is what they're playing.
Humans and taxes, yeah.
It's a fun game of racism and depression.
Oh, God.
Yay!
Okay.
Simon.
Yes.
When we enter the room, I will want to do something.
Oh dear.
Go for it.
Remember my Christmas present?
Oh, go for
no.
it.
Yes.
Okay.
What does your Christmas present do again?
Fireworks, wasn't it?
Yeah.
These motherfucking
no.
fireworks.
Oh god.
Simon, please tell me that I can start heading for the bar before Glory starts
No,
doing
because she
whatever.
went through the
No.
door first, my friend.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I want to
Yeah,
die.
you're gonna enter just as the fireworks go off, mate.
Sorry,
Oh.
Glory is the vanguard here. She's the one who has gone in with all the bravery and recklessness that we expect from our dear Glory. So, yeah, absolutely.
I'm making an entrance, okay? People will notice us whenever they want to or not.
Okay, I'm going to read out your Christmas present. So the Christmas present that we're referring to is the crystal necklace of spectacularity. This prism necklace, when activated, will throw out illusionary fireworks, taking on the colours and shapes chosen by the user. This will persist for as long as the user maintains concentration. You can choose a point of origin up to 120 foot from the caster. So, when you activate it, Glory, what shape
Just fireworks
and
inside.
colours would you like?
Are they in shapes of us or just like random shapes?
She determines the shape.
Yeah. No, I'm asking what the thought process is. Or just
I
all
want
ignoring.
them to go off like above the door, like where we're entering, so that like everyone will look at us.
Sure.
And I want like, I kind of want a little bit of mix of colors, like to represent us, some red for Glory, some like white for Eclipse, maybe a little bit of purple for Aiden because he has purple clothes on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Blue for Farewell, obviously.
Yeah.
And maybe some
Fire?
some fire-ish colors for
Yeah, maybe sort of
Cora
red.
because of the dress.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's no problem. So you walk in there and you can see that Aiden is going to try to slope to the side, him being one of nature's expert slopers. And he manages to get about 3 inches into the room when suddenly the door frame explodes in this gigantic cacophony of colour and light. I'm just putting the share link for... There we go. I've just put the share link for the home brewery. These are all of the Christmas presents I wrote, by the way, that I've just shared on the chat, including the ones that weren't chosen because they had an either or choose. So you'll find the necklace of spectacularity in there.
I do not hiss.
By the way, anybody who wants to make any D&D content, the homebrewery.naturalcrypt.com, which is the first part of that website, I thoroughly recommend. Most of my guides, my players' guides, and things like that are on there. And once I get more time or less sleep, I'll be finishing off one for the people who watch the stream. So there will be linked in the stream info a guide that you guys can read through, okay? Which will be an edited version of what everybody else has. So the doorway explodes and frames each of you in different color light. Glory throws her arms up, as I've just seen Felicia do, and is the centerpiece for a bunch of models who have the entire emotional range, from shock to embarrassment to, well, frankly, escaping, I think is probably the correct word. And everybody turns around. The dancers kind of, while still dancing, kind of clap briefly before going back into the dance. However, a lot of other people, including people at tables, have stood up and started to clap at the entrance. You can see that some people are stepping forward, admiring the costumes. I would say by the time they get anywhere near your group, Aiden has long gone and is stalking his way to the bar. There's a general crowd of sycophantic admirers who will make some choice remarks about the clothing and all the rest of it before filtering back to their own conversations again.
That's not me. That's my fucking suit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For anybody who's just joined us, Eclipse has a suit that is effectively a gaudy pastel color catsuit. Irony, that looks like it's been made out of the Monster Book of Monsters, including growling sounds.
It's so horrible.
Anti-fashion, darling. High anti-fashion. So.
Hi.
What do we do now?
I pat Farwell on the head, and then I turn around and say, I'm gonna find Thormund Keybrand.
Do you need to borrow money?
No, Thormund, he's, I need to give him this letter. That's...
Don't forget to look up Jacob, since you were wanting to ask about some history.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be on the dance floor for a while, then I'll come meet you guys up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jacob is the guy.
Yep, Jacob was the scholar that you were looking for. Okay, sure.
Mystery guy.
I don't know if I want to dance. Do I want to dance?
Yes.
You can dance if you want to.
Darling. Yes, darling.
Earlier you said you did or that you could? I can't remember.
I like.
Oh. Well, then maybe you do want to dance. It'll maybe relax you?
I don't think anything here is going to relax me.
Not after the fireworks, no.
Ever.
Yeah, I don't do entrances.
Oh, you just did. I think we all did.
Yeah.
just
Wasn't very stealthy.
Yeah.
Nope.
What do you want to do?
That is a good question.
I am being useless and indecisive, so I'm happy to go with the flow.
Well, that's kind of my thinking a little bit, is to literally go with the flow and wander around and see who we see and listen to conversations and decide some to join maybe, or just listen from a distance. That sounds nicer.
I think at some stage I want to find Tasha, I think it was, and maybe even Hobra. I've got some questions I wanted to ask, but I think this isn't my kind of party, but I do like to try new things, I think. Maybe not in this way, but and I'll turn to look towards the dance floor, because I imagine that at this stage Glory is well and truly on that dance floor and she's completely owning it.
Well, what are you doing, Glory?
I am on the dance floor.
Owning it.
Okay.
Owning it.
I don't.
Maybe charming some ladies with my dance moves, because, I'm
Swing
good.
that tail.
Oh, yes.
You do notice that her dancing has a serpentine quality to it.
I just don't think I could enjoy it quite as much as Glory is. But it's good to see her so happy.
Yeah, this is clearly her world. Although I hope there's less assassinations than it sounds like happens at home.
Yeah, it's always nice to know that the rich are as cutthroat and stabby as the rest of us poor bastards.
Yeah, that's true. I guess at least they whittled themselves down a little.
Yeah. Should we help Eclipse before she gets herself into trouble? Because you know what she's like.
Yeah, Yeah,
I'm
let's
doing my
do that.
homework. I do this all the time. I'm fine. You guys can't. Eclipse doesn't know you got to find her. So.
Should we go find her, or should we just?
She went that way.
All right, let's go find her. I'm pretty sure that we know where Aiden's going to be for the next 14 hours. So
Oh yeah, yeah, we can find him easy enough, unless he literally escapes the place. That's another option.
I hadn't considered that.
Come on.
Okay.
Right behind you.
See if we can. We'll mingle / look for Eclipse.
You don't look far. If you remember, she's in clashing pastel colours in a suit that growls. So
I am not sneaky at the moment, unless I make myself literally look like someone else, which I might do when I find my target, because subtlety. But
okay, so you guys look up and you're kind of like, "Where's the clip?" Oh, there she is. Immediately. It has to be said that even Cora, who is struggling a little bit with the amount of regular-sized people who are in the room, still manages to spot Eclipse without issue.
I'm also probably being given a decent berth because I'm hot, literally, in so many ways. I'm like radiating heat.
hot damn.
I do love the modesty that our
So-
Cora's got now.
Have you activated the snap of your fingers yet, Kate?
Oh, I did that when I took Aiden's hand, or tried to. As soon as we got out the thing and he started walking off, I was like, fuck it. And I snapped him and walked
Yeah,
in.
so
on
at
my
the
own.
moment, there's an uncomfortable amount of heat, but a lot of light that's radiating from Cora. So when the fireworks went off, kind of really matched with what Cora was doing. So yeah, she got a lot of love from that, from the people who were around. And you've probably, when people were coming up and giving the compliments, you probably had a few people asking who made your costume. Okay. So I'll get to you guys in a second. I'm going to first go to the least willing character. Okay. Because I'm a DM and sadism is part of our gig. So you walk up to the bar, Aiden, and there's a number of people behind the bar. You can tell that there's people who are there for the food and people who are there for the drink. So there's passing back and forth, and you walk up and you're just standing at the bar in what I have to say is probably a very British way, just waiting for someone to give you some damn drink. And one of the guys there, who seems to be some sort of supervisor, he's certainly got some authority there, but you're not quite sure what, walks up to you and says, "What can I get for you, lad?"
I'm in an event I didn't want to come, but I was forced to come anyway, so please give me the strong stuff.
Of course, of course. Well, first of all, I think you're going to need a breaker. And a breaker, I think you can't go better with Dwarven whiskey. Here we go. This is from my own personal stock. I'm the brewer here today, by the way. Bellin Brackwater. Here you go. It'll put hairs on your hairs. This one is... let's see. Checks the bottle and he says, this is in commemoration of... Hafnir. I need to get clearer labels. Anyway, it's bloody good stuff. Get that down your neck.
Yeah, I just start drinking.
Okay. You're going to try and neck this not small shot glass that he's given you?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, give me a Constitution saving throw.
Please roll low. Please roll low.
No. Big dick.
So you neck this thing down, and you're ready. You wanted this. You braced for it, and it goes down. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I mean, it's got fire. It's got spice. There's a sweet edge that just about pokes its head through before you get this sledgehammer of taste coming through, and it warms all the way down, and immediately you can just feel this inebriation setting in seconds after you've drunk it. And he goes, respect. Now, I'm going to say that you should follow a breaker with something long. And if you're going to want something that's a bit, I don't know, intoxicating but also warming, comforting. I say warming because I gave the game away there. You can't get better than warm black ale. Now, this stuff is warm to just a little bit warmer than room temperature, and it's got a kind of warming taste as well. Anyway, I'm going on about it. It's time to try it.
Yeah, sure.
Fuck
it. Yeah.
Gets hold of a stoneware flagon, fills it with this black ale with this loose and very frothy head on it, which it's like badly poured Guinness in that it's got this brown head that just is kind of unruly and kind of spills over the top. And he keeps filling it, and more head coming out, until a good, decent-sized tankard is in his hand, to the point where he weighs it because he can't see how full it is through the head, and he goes, here you go. So why did you not want to be here? I mean, surely this is the place where everybody's made it, right?
I genuinely would rather die than be in some stupid high society bullshit.
Well, I have to say it's not really my thing either. I mean, well, it's my thing because I'm here, but put it this way, if I wasn't on this side of the bar, I wouldn't know what to do. Turns out I was born this side of the bar. The Brackwaters are mostly brewers. Normally we make road beers, so you've got a low alcohol drink. Well, I say low alcohol compared to the other stuff that you can take on the road with you, and it's clean and it's healthy, and actually has got good calorie count as well. I mean, it substitutes for one of your meals a day. But yeah, no, I mean, as I say, this is I'm very much one of the servants here, I guess. I mean, well, I'm my own man. I've got my own business and that. But whilst I'm here, it's yes sir, no sir. That's how it is. But why are you here then? I mean, why do you have to be here if you despise it so much?
That is a very good question. I don't even. I was persuaded to come, and now I'm here, and now I want to die, and I just take a big gulp of the fucking ale.
Sure.
I do not.
The ale, you have a feeling, would probably taste pretty rank cold, but the fact that it is warm, it has just this very broad, earthy flavour that just, fills your boots as you're drinking it, and you kind of, you have to admit, this is pretty good. There's been some cold nights in the last 2 years where you could definitely, cradle one of these in front of a fire, and in favour of the things that you had to do instead, sleeping in a ditch or a roadside camp. So he goes, well, you may not want to be here, but you're a polite enough lad. And he kind of pours himself a little bit of a dram, lifts it up and says, to your good health, lad. And kind of necks it down after toasting you. At that moment, a tall, half-elven man elbows his way through the crowd up to the bar and goes, you there, dwarf, some of your best stuff. I'll know if it's not. Really? Dwarven bar. Oh, God. Well, come on, chop. I'll speak to your manager, and you can see that Bellin looks at you with a kind of scowl and also a kind of knowing look.
I'm already looking like death. Just hearing that, I'm just like, oh my god, kill me.
Retail flashbacks.
Yeah. Customer service flashbacks.
Yeah.
Bellin turns around and says, of course, my lord. The very best for the very best. He goes, well, get on with it then. And Bellin looks at you bends down to where there are some very good-looking wine bottles, and he goes to reach for what seems to be a bottle that has the most ornate calligraphy on the label. There's gold leaf on the label, many colors, not just a single kind of black sketch label. Although some of the black sketch labels are, better than any you've seen before. And he goes to reach for this really ornate bottle. His hand goes past the bottle to the bottle next to it, and the bottle next to it has a black and white label, and it just says on there the type of grape and the year, and then something underneath which you could only presume was the province that it came from. As he reaches to it, he flexes his fingers, and the bottle transforms from the bottom up to look like the really ornate bottle next to it. He snatches it up, turns round, and with a flourish goes, "My lord." And he goes, "Well, get on with it. Pour it into a carafe. I haven't got all day." Bellin turns round, picks out a carafe, pours out probably a glass's worth, swirls it round, offers it to the Lord so that the Lord can smell the bouquet before pouring the rest of it. He goes, yes, get on with it. And he pours out the rest of the bottle. Puts 4 glasses on a tray, puts the carafe on there as well, and offers it to the half-elf. The half-elf takes 2 of the glasses off and just throws them to one side. Not throwing them on the floor, but just kind of tosses them onto the tabletop and walks away. Bellin snaps his fingers, and the bottle behind him shimmers and becomes the bottle of cheap red plonk that it was there before. He goes, "We use that for the cooking." Like I said, I know what I'm doing this side of the bar. Anyway,
that looks like
you got any good news from around the city? I'm not from here. I literally came in with my stock on the ships.
I'll be honest with you. I literally don't know what's.
You must have an exciting life if you don't like going to parties and you don't know what's going on in your own city. Whatever it is you do with your time has got to be absolutely amazing.
I'm just having flashbacks of me like sleeping in an alley and also like drinking cheap wine in Freeside and telling some military guy to fuck off, and I'm like,
Just this montage of you potentially getting arrested.
Yep.
What do you mean potentially?
That's my answer. Shrug.
Okay, well.
I mean, you can tell him about the Greed organization.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna say that.
What's your wisdom?
I guess I feel like people live more interesting lives. Not gonna lie.
Fair enough, lad. Well, let me pay you in kind then. Being that you don't have anything to say, I will give you something to say. So, my last port was actually over in the Amberglade lands of Meridia. And we ended up having to use the portal service down on the Sylvanian Strait. There's a thin stretch of land between East Vardencore and West Vardencore, and the only way to get around there, instead of as we have with the Nile Delta here on Earth, they have a big ass portal by which ships can go through, rather than having to go all the way around Sylvania. So I heard of this tale of this giant black dragon. Huge he was, absolutely huge. And he went over the Celtalands, he went to Meridia, and they thought for a while that he was about to go to the capital itself, Meridian City, yeah? And they were watching him, and people were getting panicked about it. And there was lots of people in the various towns that said that you know how people get paranoid, and they thought that Scalra was finally going to attack with one single dragon. They've got tons of dragons. Why would they just send one, right? And they were like saying because it was such a big dragon, And apparently he landed somewhere in Meridia. Completely undeclared. Now, normally it's like a state visit, right? And they do they put out like a parade and all the rest of it, which is less to say that we're such good friends with Scalra, but more to say, here's the dragon in case you ever, if you need to know, here is the danger or something. But there was none of that. He turned up and now disappeared. Yeah, absolutely disappeared. So that's an interesting one. Now, they're not saying that these two items are related, but there's also apparently that a demon has escaped from the Ebonhold. The first time that a demon has been able to do that in the last 600 years. And that was with inside help. That was the last big scandal of the Ebonhold. Do you know the Ebonhold? It's off the coast of Halesfort. It's this big black crystalline tower that comes out of the sea, and it's a prison like no other, and it has all manner of horrible beasties and things inside, and also the most powerful casters. It says they've got what they call what's that? Undead jobbies that cast spells. Oh yeah, liches. It's got like a lich there, and apparently he's like a king of the undead. And oh yeah, it's some hair-raising stuff, I can tell you. So they've called for some of the heroes to kind of go and sort it out, kind of thing, and chase down this demon. But now some of the politicians are saying that this big black dragon may have taken the demon back to Scalra because they struck up some sort of deal. That's good stuff. Good stuff. What I wouldn't give to have something like that around here. Well, not with us all dying, of course. That would be somewhat of a downside to the drama.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack.
Simon, just a question. Was the demon that escaped a shadow demon?
No.
No.
You were just told a demon.
A demon, okay.
Yeah. For people who don't know, this game is part of My World in Illyria. It's part of a canon. Corinne is in one of the other games, and she's trying to find out whether it's related to the Tuesday game that she's in. Right. He carries on giving you a bunch of...
Best dragon.
What's that, sorry?
Felicia said black dragon equals best dragon.
Black dragon always equals best dragon. So he starts giving you effectively a huge gossip download of some pretty cool stuff. I mean, he's not telling you that pork futures are up in the Summer Isles or any of that kind of stuff. Nothing dry. He's telling you stuff that's interesting, exciting, and if some of it's true, potentially devastating. One of the things he concentrates on, so in between all these stories, he talks about how there's currently a recruitment going on from North Vardencourt. Now, at this point, he lowers his voice. North Vardencourt and South Vardencourt are no longer at war. There's a constant bickering that goes on after the Civil War, by which some of the nobles in South Vardencourt in the Old Empire still believe that they have rights to the lands in the north, which is mostly desert and rock, but apparently very rich in mineral resources. So even though you can talk about North Vardencourt, and there are people from North Vardencourt who go to South Vardencourt, they can cause trouble. Not deliberately, but by stepping into this country, if the nobles know that a notable character from North Vardencourt is here. They will often try
Simon,
to.
the viewer.
We've just lost the viewer.
We lost the viewer.
Yep.
45 minutes, everybody! That's a new stream record! We've made 45 minutes without a technical fault, and we started on time.
They can hear us still, at least.
They can still hear you.
Can't
Yeah.
see us.
Well, they
It's
can't
very
see us.
It's officially the best year.
No one's frozen in a really bad position. That's pretty good.
That's good. Oh, the joys of having to chop up your Discord feed. Give me a second, and I will get this going.
This is fun.
This is great.
It's so funny. Fucking info dump into everyone just disappears.
Yeah, and you're the one with all the information. None of us actually know any of it.
So the reference I was trying to do in the chat was, "We're going to Meridian City," as in the Meridian City theme song.
Yes, thank you. Right.
Yeah, but like,
We don't have
it's
to
Black Dragon. Black Dragon can't be bad. It's a
Well,
Black
it
Dragon.
didn't go to Meridian City.
I'm just gonna go and guys. I'm just gonna renew the waiting
I
screen.
can't tell you. Wait.
He's going to throw up the splash page as he's needing to fix the machine.
Oh, we still need a be right back screen, don't we? Damn it.
I have one. I just haven't. Hang on.
Imported it into OBS.
Yeah, I just need to do some.
Well, while you fix that, I'm gonna make some coffee.
Yep, go for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can still hear you, so that's not a problem.
Yeah.
The joy of a hands-free Bluetooth headset with microphone. I really want one of those.
Have you noticed though that
I'm like limited to this. I can't go any further.
yeah, but the worst thing is I don't know if you all remember the Xbox Live 360 headsets when they first came out and they were plugged into the controller. The amount of times you heard someone going to the toilet because they brought the controller with them.
Yeah. I did try and use I have radio mics, but they're a pain in the ass because of batteries. But I did a stream with my radio mic on, and I was going to the kitchen and was like, I've got to remember that people can still hear me right now while I like get something out of the oven.
That is perfectly fine. It's called the mic telling you mic off in the ear when you turn it up.
That's useful. It's you're there walking around going, fucking people watching my streams, bunch of bastards.
Yeah, why is no one donated? God damn them.
I'm a poor person. I need the money.
So, what I was gonna say about Black Dragon, so I know where it went. Eclipse has no fucking idea or anything about this fucking Black Dragon thing.
No.
I know exactly where it went. I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you guys. It's just like random trivia, but so I know.
Sorting this out.
You want to find out?
Yeah. I probably am not allowed to tell you the identity of the dragon, though. I'm pretty sure.
I think you just
Probably
did.
not good to.
We trust you not to metagame.
I'd like to know if Simon uses Freiner somewhere else, but that's about it.
Yeah. No, but yeah, so, but yeah. I met that dragon. It was fun. He was very nice.
Oh, you did well. You did well not to murder it on sight.
Yeah, because we killed another black dragon, and then other stuff happened, and then this guy came.
Why black dragons? They are nice.
He was in the Feywild. He had no connection to any of Skullrow or anything. He was just a random
Black dragons. Black dragons are the sadistic ones.
Okay. Everything is loading up. Yay! I have no idea what that was. Although there's this weird roaring sound, and we're nowhere near an airport. There's a weird roaring sound that's appearing over our head every now and again. That's a bit freaky.
Aliens.
You
always
know what that means? We're in a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're about to die.
Okay, so that part sorted out. Now all I have to do is rearrange everybody. So, Iden
that's
is
always fun.
there. I'm here.
We could
The
leave.
clock is
Come back
every
in.
stream.
Everything is all
Every
right.
stream.
Who
If
Glory
we know the order, we
something
can just
something?
leave and come back in.
No, it's okay.
In fact, you could move us. You can move us out and pull us in the way you want us.
Yeah.
You just move us to general and then back to here. That's an option.
That may be something that I can do later on when I've got more.
Have you moved me yet? Because I know I was the last one, so I can.
No, it's okay. I've kind of done you the old-fashioned way, so.
Fine.
Phrasing.
I'm just gonna get some.
Yeah.
I was going to try and say
think that back in
something.
my
It was
head.
like, no, it doesn't need to be said. Doesn't need to be said.
All I'm going to say is get all your Christmases.
Are we having a break now, or are we just?
No, we're
going
still
back
on stream.
in the second
You know, this is apparently entertainment. So, come on. All right.
Oh, they can still hear us again now. I didn't know they could hear us.
They can still hear us. They just can't see us. Yeah. So,
Nope.
all right.
Oh, I thought when you went to the holding screen, you muted us, but nope.
No.
Anyway, hello everyone. We're still talking.
They can hear us just very slightly.
We're
So.
just talking shit.
Yeah,
Right.
I clicked on
We're
the
all
sound. and
fine
heard
with
it.
that.
Okay, we're going to go back to vid.
What happened?
Okay.
In.
And we are back. Hello, everybody. Always fun.
We'll get that in post. We'll get that in post. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
will
yeah.
We'll just
we?
edit that
Yeah,
out.
because
nice
we
and
have
smooth.
post, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So we were talking to Iden, and he did talk about the dragon and all the rest of it. So he starts talking about North Vardencourt in hushed tones, and says, "Did you hear that they're recruiting at the moment to find a particular kind of warforged? Not any of the warforged that left recently." And he's referring to something called the Twilight March. So the Twilight March happened about 2 weeks ago. And
Just 2 weeks ago.
yeah, for this game, it's
Really?
about 2 weeks ago. And
Oh, wow.
the Twilight March is where all of the Warforged who were in South Vardencourt, who were subservient, they had devices for Star Wars fans, a restraining bolt in their neck that made them servants. And overnight, literally in the middle of the night, all of these devices deactivated. They weren't damaged or anything like that. They just seemed to just not work anymore. And every Warforged in South Vardencourt walked. They walked out of the country, some of them walking into the sea, some of them walking to beaches where boats were waiting, some of them walked into North Vardencourt, some into Sylvania in the south, some of them went off to the west to Meridia, where those countries accepted them immediately and gave them sanctuary. Okay, and they became part of the asylum state of those countries, which meant that they became fully fledged citizens, because that's how asylum works. South Vardencourt is still in the middle of ranting and raving about this particular thing, saying that the property was stolen, not acknowledging the Warforged as people, but as property. And they are currently trying to sue these countries to either get the Warforged back or to pay extortionate amounts of money. And they believe that this is part of a great conspiracy, taking these Warforged off them to weaken their military and to, as far as they're concerned, go into some form of invasion. So Duke Ostermark, Duke Edmund Ostermark, is currently raising forces just in case a war happens with the nearest border, and the nearest border to you guys is Sylvania, okay, which is around about 2 weeks travel to the south. Okay, that's 2 weeks hard march. The other thing that the South Vardencourt has been going on about is the Brotherhood of the Seven Sails, in particular the faction known as the Shacklemen. The Shacklemen are a pirate faction who rob from and raid nations that practice slavery. Okay, and because of the way that South Vardencourt treated the Warforged in this particular case, which was slavery, they were witnessed as picking up some of the Warforged on the beaches, allowing them onto the ships and sailing away with them. So South Vardencourt, the old empire, is currently going for that particular faction in and of itself. Okay. So this is all big news going on right now, and the recruitment that Aiden saw last session, the military recruitment, in part is to swell the Duke's forces so that he can lend into the current hobby war of Vardencourt. Okay, the Duke himself did not use Warforged. He didn't feel like he needed to. He thought they were unreliable. He had more than enough people who were joining his ranks. And if anything, this has actually strengthened the Duke's position because other people relied on Warforged and he didn't. He's actually in a stronger position compared to his other peers, his other dukes and viscounts that he has to jostle for status in this country on a daily basis. Okay, so you get a lot of that given to you, Aiden, and now you're like, whoa, I know the news. And you feel a little bit connected. And whilst he's doing this, he is giving you drink after drink after drink. He mixes it up. You start off with that lovely, warm black ale. He then changes it for a crystal clear amber ale. And after a while, you can feel the drink starting to settle in. And the
saving throw?
Not yet. Not yet. You're in the process. And so there are people talking at the bar. Some of them try to strike up conversation with you, not very successfully. The only one that seems to do it successfully is Bellin, and I have a feeling that's because every time he talks to you, he's kind of got a drink in his hand and he's handing it over as he does so. But you do retain a certain amount of it, and you hear a few factoids that might be useful. Okay. If
I finish hearing all that and I go, now we don't have time to unpack all of that. I don't know what to do with this information. Politics.
I was just connecting you a bit with the world. That's what a barman does, and this is true. Whenever you go to a tavern, the barkeep will normally ask for news from where you came from, everything as mundane as from the weather to any illnesses in nearby villages to any major world events. If he doesn't have a bard that's up on the latest news, normally he'll get it in the form of the grapevine. So he connects you with that, and you carry on drinking. I'll come back to you a little later when something else significant happens at the bar. Glory, you dance. You dance as if you were born to it.
I can dance if
you
want. Friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, well, they're no friends of mine.
I'm proud. I've already put it in the chat.
We can dance.
Yes. Yep.
Everyone's out of control.
Now all I can imagine is Aiden getting slightly drunk and singing that at the bar. Just getting a lot of drunk people doing the safety dance. So, Glory, you dance. You dance as if you were born to it. You dance knowing full well that you're not just doing it for the love of dancing. Oh no, you're doing it for the love of, well, a short list of people that you've seen so far. as I say, there's a serpentine quality to you, and you've been dancing your whole life with this, what would be for other people, very cumbersome tail. And even though, as part of some of the dance structure, you dance with particular people, you are mostly dancing on your own in a way that says, I am fabulous, and I am single, and I'm available. I would like you, first of all, because I've done encounters for all of the options I gave you at the beginning of the session, I'd like you to just roll me 2d20s, please.
2d20. Just straight up 2d20.
That's right.
A 19 and a 18.
Okay, nice.
Oh, shit.
So, you crack on. You're, especially considering the event that got you here, was you effectively being shot down. As much as you're able to rationalize that this person tried to get you in the bedroom just to deliver an invite in the cruelest way possible, you still feel a visceral need to prove your game. And you find yourself writhing lively between people and hitting various targets as you go past. So you're going from beautiful person to beautiful person, and as you get to each of your targets, providing a bit of a flourish, giving them a little bit of your time, and then moving on. And because you want to generate some, let's call it hunger, you move on whether they're interested or not. You have collected quite a few admirers, some that you would like the admiration of, and some who just generally are taken by the fabulousness that is Glory Tezcatlipoca. And you do find that during one of the structured dances where you can't do this, you are paired up with a number of people. But one person that you are dancing with is a very polite, olive-skinned gentleman who seems very taken by your style. He isn't giving you any kind of romantic overtures or anything like that. He's seemingly here to have fun. Okay, it's clear that he's enjoying dancing, the revelry, the colours, and when he gets the chance to dance with you, he does so with an energy and a joy. And he starts talking to you whilst dancing. Obviously, only in the ways that punctuate the dance. You are supposed to talk during the dance. It is a social, after all. And he starts to break away from the usual kind of small talk that people repeat and repeat and repeat during this dance. And he kind of tries to get to know you. And he says, well, you make quite the impression, don't you? And as he does so, you two separate. His fancy footwork forms him spiraling away from you about 10 foot. You both perform the set piece as the two lines start to collide together again, and he comes back together. You take one arm around his waist, he puts one arm around your waist so that you're both kind of locked together, and you spin together. And he says, I haven't seen you at many of these gatherings. I certainly would have taken notice of you.
Oh no, I'm pretty new to this city. Finally making a name.
Excellent. Well, we all want to make names for ourselves. But I must admit, coming here, it is just a pleasure for me. As far as I'm concerned, this is the place that I've been wanting to come to all my life. I'm Harrison, by the way. Harrison Brand.
Oh, Glory Tezcatlipoca.
And he says charmed, and then kind of realizes that he's said it in a very formatted way, and goes, it's a genuine pleasure to meet you. I can see a lot of the people who are dancing here are enjoying it, but many of them are doing it through very fixed ways. You seem to, I don't know, it seems to me like you're seizing the moment. really being here. I like that. And you can tell by the energy with which he's dancing, he's not wearing anything super outlandish or garish. He is wearing a colourful outfit, though. He's wearing jack boots, tight kind of almost military dress trousers with silver brocade that goes down the outside of each leg. And then he's got a cravatted white shirt, but the cravat has purple edging to each of the little kind of flutes in the cravat. And over the top he has kind of a smoking jacket. Rather than it being a typical kind of formal jacket or anything like that, this is softer, it moves with him. It has gold leaf worked into patterns on what seems to be a kind of midnight blue background. So not quite purple and not quite blue. And he seems young, well-groomed, and has a genuine spark about his body language, and his eyes are wide and very full of wonder. As you continue dancing, he says, so what's your business? As you guys carry on dancing, the column ends up, the two rows of dancers end up bending on each other, turning into two circles. And now there's a promenade as you are basically walking around the outside of the dance floor, walking along the edges, but in such a way that you are dancing around the edges. So now it's kind of whirls within whirls, all turning and orbiting the dance floor. So what's your business?
Good question, Simon. What would I answer to that? Because I'm not quite sure how you explain glory.
You made the character.
I don't think the universe knows how to explain your character.
No.
She is a primordial force of nature.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see. Everything, nothing, all a bit of adventuring thrown in. Mostly just having fun, getting to know people.
Your business is having fun. Oh, he suddenly stops, looks you in the eye and goes, that isn't your business, but you have fun, and that is your business. I see. Ah, well, adventuring as well, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Tell
I'm from
me.
Skalra, you see.
Oh, I was fully aware. I can see the design on your brooch there, and he points to your belt.
Ah, good.
He says, I don't know the family, but I know the style. And that's definitely a Scouran style. So, what adventures have you had, Glory?
Traveling the world, exploring, seeing what is outside of home.
You're a pioneer, then. Fabulous. Well, I hope that one day my business does as well as yours. And I hope one day to travel with it. Oh, I'm an architect. Yeah.
No, wait, no, that's archaeologist. I was like, I want to know. I don't. Sorry, sometimes with English as a second language, words that start long words with the sound the same sound the same.
Oh, we love you, Corinne. Never change. We love you so much.
So he says,
Indeed we do.
at the moment I'm looking to be inspired. I'm looking to be inspired to create my opus, my mark. I've built buildings in cities all around the world, but they've all been utilitarian and just nothing that really has my brand on it, you know? Well, the brand, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I just haven't found that spark, that inspiration, you know? Maybe I need to find my muse. And he starts laughing. You quickly check him to see whether or not he is flirting, because some of these lines would definitely come from flirtation. And you see a very careful sincerity in his eyes. As in, he's actively trying to communicate to you through his body language that he's not interested in you in that way. He does kind of he does seems to have a look of concentration on his face as you pull off some dance move, and he goes, "Damn it, your damned costume hasn't got any pockets, so here," and just pulls out a card and gives it to you and goes, "I don't know where the hell you keep them, but I can't find a pocket," and says, "Please, I want to have more parties like this. Even if they're on a smaller scale, I want them to be as fun, and I think you're the person to definitely invite along to them." So you get handed the card, and as you are orbiting the dance floor, there's a servant nearby that has a tray of drinks, and is just walking past with the hand outstretched, holding the tray. And as you go past, he kind of speeds up very slightly so that he turns at just the right point. His one hand snatches out, and it comes back with 2 champagne flutes. He hands one to you, and you're drinking and dancing at the same time, which you know is slightly against etiquette because no drinks on the dance floor and all that lot. But no one seems to comment on it as you two are drinking champagne, dancing, and really enjoying yourself. The music piece finishes, which is the end of the dance with him. And as much as, okay, you may have looked like that you had found a romantic interest momentarily there, the fact that he, at the exact end of the song, steps back, bows, claps to the rest of the dancers, walks straight up to you and gives you kind of a hearty handshake, but with one hand on your shoulder, kind of patting your shoulder and saying, "I hope we could be good friends." And that kind of shows that, yeah, it's definitely not a romantic thing because you haven't given him a peck on the cheek or anything like that. He turns away from you, walking into the crowd looking for his next partner, and says, "Take care of yourself, Glory, and I'll send an invitation your way. Be sure to send me your card." And he walks into the crowd, very slick, very, very happy to have danced with you. So that was one of the D20s that you rolled. The other one was your success rate with the ladies, being that was your intention. So a very good roll. You do find that there are a number of people locked onto you now. You can see, well, as I say, of all genders, but of your particular gender that you're looking for, you can see that there's a tiefling, 2 elves, and 4 humans looking at you right now. And they're looking at you with a certain amount of fascination and interest. You can also see that there's a female gnome that's looking at you, and you can't tell whether or not she's scowling at you or looking at you with intense interest.
Right.
It looks like Glory has the first part of her work cut out. I will fast forward because eventually you can say whether or not you're going to go for any of these in particular. But in a dance, a few dances later, you are partnered with a guy who you think you probably wouldn't be interested in terms of just his company. He's an older man, I would say early 50s, well-groomed, well-kept, attractive, seems to have grown into his looks. You have a feeling that in early years he would have been gangly and would have looked, what's the word, less substantial. He's muscular. He has shaved white hair, so almost bald, and he has a pair of very small glasses that you think are kind of reading glasses almost, because he can see over the top of them. And as you're dancing, he makes polite conversation. And it's around about a quarter of the way through your song where he just immediately, after doing all the very patterned small talk, leaves the small talk suddenly. And he turns around and says, "And so, how is Renata?" And that's where I'm going to pan the camera away from you. And I'm going to pan it towards Farewell, Cora, and Eclipse.
I'll be right back.
So, Eclipse, you know what this guy looks like. Okay. And you have on you a document that you have to give to him. It has to be put in his hand. Okay. So to remind you, I'm just going through my notes here. The person you're looking for is Thormund Keenbrand. Okay. I've just noticed you've muted yourself because you're coughing. You get up, but there you go. I'll carry on with the description. This is a moneylender, and he is a moneylender who needs to go to court. Some people want to take him to court, and they want you to deliver into his hand his court summons. Okay? Court summons work slightly different in this world, but for the most part, the skills that will be involved are the same as the film stereotypical serving somebody's notice in America, and that is that you have to place it in their hand, tell them that they've been served, and then off you go. Okay, so I want you to do me a favor and roll a perception check. There are a lot of dwarves here. There's a lot of dwarves in Ostergald in general.
Rolls. Scott. Okay, that is, I think, a total of 15.
Okay. So you're tracking a dwarf in a room with a lot of dwarfs. Takes a tiny bit of time, but at 15, you don't waste much time. It's a process, but you don't waste much time. You methodically go through the tables, checking off various areas, thinking, okay, he's not going to be here, he's not going to be there. And you do see that there's a clique of very dour-looking dwarven businessmen. And they are sat there with drinks, talking in hushed tones, and you do notice from time to time someone will walk up to them. It's normally one person on their own. The person who's walking up to them is looking slightly apologetic, slightly nervous about approaching them. They speak to one of the dwarves in hushed tones, and then that person and the dwarf goes off to one of the side rooms to talk in private. You get to that rough area, and as I say, because these businessmen are speaking in hushed tones, clearly, going through their various alliances and things, you aren't quite sure which one is which, but then you kind of stand there staring for a short period of time, which is why I've got to roll. No, you're good. And suddenly you go, yeah, that's him. That's definitely him. He's on a table with a bunch of other dwarves. You can't walk directly up to him. You could walk to maybe just under 10 foot away. But then after that, you would probably have to call over to him to get his attention.
Question, Simon. Is it as in normal life that it's customary to shake someone's hand when you greet them?
You can offer your hand, certainly. Yeah. Handshaking is definitely a thing here. Whether or not he chooses to accept your hand and shake your hand will be up to him.
Yeah. Let's see. What's the range in charm person? Range 30 feet. Okay.
Cool, you're not alone, and you have other people with spells. You can talk to us. Cool.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, I also have spells. I'm an arcane trickster. It's what I do. This is where I shine.
Just
Okay.
saying, there's a lot of pigeons in here. Sorry.
Yes.
Hold on, let me get those out the rafters.
Cora and Farewell, you watch as Eclipse just very purposefully walks through the crowd, stops, stares for what is only a couple of seconds but feels like a long time, and then, kind of has a look on her face as if to go, there, that's him.
Do you think she's going to do something reckless?
I don't know. Kate wants to be reminded as to whether or not we know what she's doing.
So would Nick, because Nick can't remember either.
Yeah, do we know that she's got this letter?
Yes, I have told you about the letter I just need to give to him. Like, that's something Eclipse would tell you.
Right. Okay, so we know that you've got the letter. I mean, she's just got to give this guy a letter, right?
Yeah, but you know what dwarves are like? They tend not to respond well to money matters, especially negative money matters. And, well, one, I'd hate to see Eclipse hurt him, because we've seen what happens when she hurts people. Mm-hmm. And two, I thought we were all supposed to be... Or was that just me?
I don't know. You cut out and went robotic, so I don't know what you just said.
Sorry, that'll be my connection bottoming out. I said I thought we were all supposed to be on our best behavior. Was that just me?
No, that's yeah. I mean, if she's got a task to give someone a letter, and then she ends up in a fight with them and does something crazy, I'm not sure she's going to get paid because, the job was the letter, not more. So I mean, we should be on our guard, but...
Okay. Simon, so this is probably the easiest way to do this. So can this guy, Thormund, can he make a wisdom saving throw, please?
Sure. What are you using on him first?
Charm person.
Okay, let me just look something up quickly.
Obviously, I'm trying to cast this sneakily, so if you want me to make any sleight of hand checks or anything that...
Yeah, you will need to do that in a sec.
This can only go wrong.
Yeah.
So I did that with friends, but I'm thinking charm person, he won't get hostile towards me. So...
Are you sure about that?
He'll get hostile when it wears off, whereas with friends, he gets hostile after 60 seconds. So out of the two, it's...
On person, they don't actually get... On charm person, they don't get hostile. They just know I charmed them. But that's only if they fail the throw, the save. Otherwise, they don't really know. Yeah, we'll say Simon?
Okay. Yeah, I would like you to make a stealth check. And I'm going to make
Stealth check.
a perception check.
Oh,
Okay.
boy.
Oh boy.
It's not
We
too bad.
haven't been in a fight for a while. I'm ready to flex Eldritch Blasts. It's good.
Oh my god.
I mean, as much as I'd like to throw chromatic orbs around, I don't think that's quite the impression Glory wants
So,
to leave on these people.
Simon?
Yep.
It's a
who am I
dirty
kidding?
20.
Okay.
It's always the impression
So-
she likes.
You know that there's certain visible components that you need to do. However, you're well practiced at this, and you managed to perform the spell in a crowded room, and not a single person sees. You direct it at Thormund, and
Mhm.
you feel that satisfying click in the back of your head as your charm effect goes off. He hasn't even seen you yet, and yet you know he's charmed by you.
Yeah. So I will get as close as would be like appropriate, and I will shout, "Thormund, my friend, I'm so glad to see you here." Because he regards me as a friendly acquaintance.
Oh yeah. He turns to you with a grumpy look on his face and goes,
Eclipse.
Yes, of course.
We met the other week.
Yes, terribly sorry. I'm so busy at the moment. I really, you must forgive me. You must be part of the new dockside settlement.
Oh yes, that's right.
Of
So
course.
great to meet you again.
Do forgive me. I've not only do I not remember the name, I don't remember the face. That's so unlike me. I thought I'd remembered everybody from that meeting. Well, it's great to see you here. Yes, and that's going to be a very profitable deal all round.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Sorry about that. And you're currently
I reach out my hand to.
well, you're currently talking over two other dwarfs, who are trying to have a hushed conversation and kind of looking up and going kind of thing. You reach your hand over the top of a dwarf because dwarfs love that.
No.
And
No. If there's a dwarf there, obviously I don't do that.
Okay, so you don't do that, and he goes, was this just a general hello, or do you have any business to discuss?
It's just general hello to see how you're doing, because you impressed me in the last meeting. You were very persuasive in what the deal you were suggesting. It was very, very interesting.
Okay, give me a deception check with advantage.
Yep. Oh.
Thank God for that successful charm.
That's a 19 with a +7, so that's 26.
26.
Don't fuck with the rogue.
So he goes, well, you must have been the only one who did think I was impressive, because they argued me down on every point, and that's just their way. But yeah, I mean, I was happy to get to the end of that meeting, to tell you the truth. But I mean, we're carrying on with the negotiations, I guess. I mean, it is going to be lucrative for both of us, but I just think that they're just taking too much of the pot. I've got my own risk involved with this. I deserve a certain amount of the pot myself.
Yes, I thoroughly agree, Mr. One second, Mr. Keyband. It's you do so much work for us, and we should really thank you for all the work you're doing here in the city. And
you don't have to sugarcoat it for me, lass. I will be putting my lot in with you, but I'm just investing. I'm not doing a great deal of work for you. But I get that you obviously want to keep a good relationship between and I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. But speak from the hip, girl. Speak from the hip. I'm not. I'm no child. I don't need buttering up. But no, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there's a lot of good work going on. It's going to be good for all concerned. And as far as I'm concerned, I deal with a lot of lowlifes as part of my day-to-day work. These work-shy, filth-mongers that are just, they are just effectively one step up from street rats. They really are. And, I write them hard, I make sure that if they're coming to me and they're taking my cash to be able to keep on with their lives, that they're not frittering it away, and make sure I keep the pressure on. I find that's the best way of getting your money back at all. Kind of give them a harsh rate right from the start. Right from the very beginning when they sign on the paper. I know they haven't got a choice, but when they sign on the paper, make sure that they know that they're in for some hard work to pay that back, because that's how the world works. But it's clear
I
that
completely agree.
Yeah, but it's clear that you guys, from your successes alone, are of a kind with me, and we're let's face it, we're winners, and that's how I want it to remain. We'll be doing well. And he raises up his glass and he goes, "To our future exploits and to the next meeting, may it go better than the last."
Yes, I thoroughly agree. But yes, so nice to meet you again. As instead of a greeting handshake, I will go for a parting handshake. It's like instead of like a hug or something. But we'll do it in a way so I'm not reaching over a dwarf.
The way that it clustered is quite difficult, but you kind of managed to find a little bit of an opening. And
yes. And when this happened, I will use my ring of palming. As soon as he touches my hand, I will transfer the letter to my hand so he takes it.
Second use of a Christmas present. Okay, yeah. Okay, so
Karen with a 200 IQ plays.
She's just killing it. Go on, Karen.
Oh, was that the Christmas present that just swapped something?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I can swap things on my person, like things I can fit in my hand.
Yeah.
So some people would have read the homebrewery document that I sent out earlier that described Felicia's Christmas present, but Corinne's Christmas present, or more specifically Eclipse's, is a ring of palming, and the ring of palming works a little bit like the spell Wrist Pocket, which Scanlan in Critical Role used, but it has a bit of a twist. Instead of sending a single item to a pocket dimension, kind of as with the Ring of Holding, it allows her to very short-range teleport something from on her person immediately into her hand as a free action. Okay, free actions being the fastest of actions. So it's an action is 6 seconds. I think they say that a bonus action is like 2 seconds. A free action happens straight away. So as she reaches towards this guy's hand, and he's been told a bit of good news. I mean, she role-played it the right way by the fact that he thought this deal went south, and she's there like, no, you have a supporter. And so he's trying to have this supporter in the next meeting that he goes to, while still feeling a little off his feet because he can't remember her in the last meeting. So he stands up, and he is the one who actually reaches over the dwarf next to him. There's a bit of grumbling, but it's a thing. He reaches over the dwarf next to him and goes for the handshake. So I want you to do a sleight of hand check. Okay. It's with initiative. It is with advantage. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't score lower than a 10 because of the tactic that you used.
Okay, so 10 plus proficiency then, I assume. 10 plus modifier.
So if your result with advantage is less than 10, you just take 10.
Okay.
Come on, Craig. Come on.
Okay, so that's my highest is a 12, but that's 12 plus 5, so that's a 7. 17.
17. This guy is shrewd. He's looking you in the eye. He's watching your hand approach so that he can give the perfect dwarven businessman handshake. And a split second before your hand and his hand touches, there's this imperceptible rustle of paper that just goes across your palm. And as he shakes your hand, and it's a good hearty handshake, his expression kind of changes as if to go, "What are you holding?" And then, and bear in mind,
what are you holding?
He saw a blank. Yeah. Bear in mind, he saw a blank hand coming towards him. He pulls the hand away, and a slightly mangled scroll is in his hand. He goes,
"Oh my god!"
And because he's charmed by you, I'm going to get him to do an intelligence check with disadvantage. Oh, man. So that was a 16 and an 18, but then the 16 rolled up against the side of my dice tray and turned into a 2. With lightning speed, like a snake striking in reverse, his hand takes the document that's in his hand, pulls it back, and stuffs it into his pocket as quickly as humanly possible. Do an insight check.
Would I pick up any of this with my passive insight? Well, I guess it's not really passive because I'm watching, but would I see his expression change?
Well, what's your passive?
Hold on. I have to.
Billion.
No, that's my new perception. My passive insight is 16 as well.
Okay, you don't get it passively, but I will allow you an active roll because he rolled pretty high.
Yeah, I rolled pretty low. I rolled a 9.
Yeah, I rolled pretty low too. Hold on. Yeah, this is insight. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a 13.
Okay. So what you saw, Farewell, is you saw Eclipse shake his hand, and that's it. He did kind of do a little jerk as he pulled his hand away, but that's all you noted. That it was a jerk of his hand down by his side. Maybe he had static shock from her or something like that. She's got a lot of fur. Yeah, you, Corinne, because you know that you put the letter in his hand, you know that he stuffed it in his pocket lightning fast, to the point where the only reason you know what he did is that he no longer has it in his hand, and his hand shot towards his pocket. He just pulled off a masterful feat of hand. What was your insight check? What was the result?
I should roll both perception and insight. So I only rolled 1.
Okay, roll me an insight check.
Yeah, I shall do that. 15.
Sure, I'll give it to you. You think his reason for taking the document that you have given him, after showing support of him with the business deal that's currently going down, is that he thinks that you've just handed him a bribe.
Yes!
Great plan.
So with my contract, do I need to tell him that those papers are court papers, or can I just walk away?
No, all you have to do is place it in his hand. Okay?
Okay. Which I've done, so I'm just going to give him my goodbyes and walk away.
He gives you his warmest farewell. Okay? Now, let's check something here. Let's check how long until he flips his shit.
Galaxy brain. Eclipse is operating on a plane of existence. We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, oh my god, the duration is 1 hour, or until you. No, it's not even concentration. It's just 1 hour.
Holy shit.
Oh my god.
Okay, so
He's my
You're fine.
bestest friend.
so you walk away, and he's there thinking, "What a lovely young lady that is." As you walk away, Cora and Farewell, as it's clear that Eclipse is walking away, she's either given up or completed her mission, and you're not sure which.
Did we see his hand go to his pocket?
You saw his hand.
Is that what that was about?
Yeah, you saw his hand snatch back, but you didn't see him stuff the letter into his pocket, and you didn't see the letter change hands with Corinne.
Okay.
So, Eclipse. Did you do it? Did it work? What happened?
He has. He's been. The mission is complete.
Oh,
Oh,
well, that was easier than we thought.
yeah.
I'm a professional, darling.
Are we really bad at these things?
What? Have you ever served
Farewell.
papers to someone? Farewell.
Well, not. I don't know. Not in that kind of way. I mean, like certificates of births and deaths, but not court papers. But it doesn't. They don't usually shake hands and that's it. I mean, I didn't even see the paper. How did you get the paper across?
Yeah, that was quite. Like he pulled his hand away like he got a shock from you.
Yeah,
I kind of make. I make like several gold coins just appear in my hand, and then they disappear.
Oh,
Oh,
that's cool.
yeah.
It's this. I show Farewell the ring. It's like it's this thing I got from the other day. It allows me to palm things into my hand and onto my person with a thought.
Oh,
Wow. Holy shit.
that's very handy.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm gonna be more careful
we've
around
done
my
a task
things.
already.
Yeah.
We
You-
now what?
Yeah.
So
Well.
I love it.
I guess we've got a couple of choices.
Do
we go?
Simon? Do I have a deck of cards in my?
I assure you,
my
I am not playing cards against Eclipse. I am not walking around here wearing nothing but my smile because Eclipse has taken my character for everything he's worth.
I would like to bet you your moss.
Yes, exactly. So, do we go
The
get
answer,
drunk
Eclipse,
with,
is if you want to have a deck of cards on you, you can have a deck of cards on you.
Is it the same make they used for the gambling?
Oh my god!
You don't
It's still
know.
gonna go wrong.
You don't know.
Good luck is going to go wrong.
I'm gonna leave that because that's just suicide.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we going to go find Aiden and see if he's drunk himself into a coma? Or do we interrupt Glory? And I'm a little worried about interrupting Glory because, well, you know what she's... Yes?
Would you like to
think
dance?
I'd love to dance.
You too? You as well, Cora?
You go ahead. I'll go look for Aiden.
No, come on.
What?
Come on.
Come on, Cora, it will be fun.
We have spent every day before we joined That Shall Not Be Named, working ourselves to the bone. This is the first time we've ever supposedly let our hair down. And she's obviously done all the hard work for the first bit. What's one dance? Come on, if anyone's going to look stupid, it's going to be me.
That's true. Let's go.
Yeah, so we're gonna go down.
Chorus strides on ahead of everyone.
Okay.
Let's go.
No problem. You go onto the dance floor just as you notice that that Glory is dancing with, as I say, this guy in his early 50s. They seem to be dancing very formally. They're in deep conversation. And Glory, who normally flirtatious, energetic, now has a pensive look on her face. But before we zip back around to Iden, I'd like you guys to tell me how you're going to be dancing. Are you
Oh boy.
are any of you guys pairing off, or are you just going into the throng and allowing yourself to partner up as it happens?
Do the cha-cha slide.
Is this sort of what sort of dancing is this? Is this like, I don't know, Georgian, fancy two people? Like, what is this?
Waltz? Is it like club dancing?
Yeah, is it like partner dancing? Is it like Kaylee style dancing, but the old style? Yeah.
I would say it's a mixture of formal, ballroom, and Kaylee.
Okay, so it's a bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
I actually want to try, or Eclipse wants to try waltzing with Farewell and see if he can do it. But instead of wearing this monstrosity...
You asked him to dance. He's expecting that very much that you and him are going to be dance partners.
Yeah.
Although
that's
and instead of wearing this monstrosity, like, because she's gonna waltz. In that case, she wants a proper ball gown, so she's gonna use her hat and disguise to briefly have a nice ball gown instead of like a growling mess, which is still gonna growl, but at least like it won't be.
Just so you know, Simon, Cora is kind of going in there and dancing. I'm expecting, because Eclipse asked Farewell to dance, that's why she was not going to dance. But she's mostly keeping her eye open for Ola Soraka, and she has been since she walked in the door.
Okay, I was wondering when you're going to get to that.
Simon.
Eclipse, I think tradition says that I should lead. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely fine.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
So yeah, we're gonna wait for the appropriate moment, and off we go.
Off we go.
Also,
I'm
Simon.
so proud of everyone.
This green person dancing with a cat, and it's probably the weirdest shit you ever seen. This cat in a dress.
Cat in a dress and a green person that's two different shades of green.
It's a green boy.
Also, Simon, sorry to make your life a little harder. I think my camera, I think I have to like turn it on and off again, so you have to rearrange again.
Oh no! If you just turning it on and off should be fine. If you
Then
you'll just
switch place.
Yeah, you'll just turn into your icon for a second.
Just don't leave Discord. Yeah.
All right.
That fixed it.
That's better.
There we go.
Okay, this is where we all have to do really good roles, because fuck me, performance is not something my boy's good at.
I am not proficient in performance. I got a +3 in that. Can I roll acrobatics?
You might fucking need it if I roll in that one.
Okay.
Glory only has like +3 in performance right now, but she's used to this thing.
Okay, so now the answer to this is you can only use acrobatics if you want to do acrobatics. Acrobatics is a very good skill. It covers a multitude of sins.
But then she's suddenly doing hip hop.
Yeah.
Breakdancing.
So, for example, this is the thing I'll give you, because I've actually seen this happen, and that is I saw a martial artist, a guy who I knew was very good at martial arts, go onto the dance floor, realize he couldn't dance, and so he tried to use kata as dance moves.
Oh my god!
Did it work?
No, it was one of the most cringeworthy things I've ever seen in my life, and I can't dance. He made me look good. Yeah? So, yeah. I may have been flailing about like I was having a seizure, but I still look better than him. So, if you use acrobatics, it may be impressive, but you will stick out like a sore thumb as you don't comply to the social element of the dance. What you will be doing is effectively going ninja on the dance floor, which will be spectacular, but not dancing. I mean, it's just not going to be that. So if you want to do that, that's fine, but performance is very much a charisma check. Okay.
So is it?
Oh.
Sorry. So are we rolling performance then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
Okay. How cooperative are you going to be with each other?
Oh no. All joking aside, my boy has his issues, but his friends asked him to dance, and he likes to dance.
Yeah.
I have good news. I have good news. You're both
like dancing with a friend.
Yeah. You are both rolling with advantage as you're both terrified and trying to get through this experience together and even enjoy it. Okay? So please, both of you, roll a performance check with advantage.
Would you like the good news or the bad news?
Good news.
Okay, so the good news is the highest of the two dice is 9.
How is this good news?
Because the bad news is that was a 1.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So. Oh dear.
So that's a grand total of 7.
My total is a 15.
Okay.
You look good, I do not.
So Cora was absolutely right.
Okay. So you're trying hard. You both are. And I would say you're probably enjoying yourselves. You do notice, Farewell, that as much as you're leading, there are a few times when you are about to trip over, that you're concentrating so much on the mechanics of one part of the dance that you actually forget to move one of your feet, and you start to tilt over. Thankfully, because I was taking the average of the two rolls, which still comes up to an average of 10 each, there is a point where more than once you are about to pivot and basically just pivot over and fall on the floor. And it's only by Eclipse propping you up that it doesn't look like a complete disaster. You aren't super ungainly. I mean, you're not knocking people over bad. You're just probably the least talented dancers here who aren't completely inebriated. There are some who are knocking into people because they're pissed out of their gourd and they're being politely asked to leave the dance floor. You have successfully stayed on the dance floor without anyone politely asking you to leave. Okay? You feel that this is somewhat of a karmic win. Okay?
Don't care, had fun.
It is good fun. It is good fun. Moments of panic, certainly adrenaline, would definitely do it again.
I will say that once that song ends, I am going to grab Cora and try and dance with her if she will let me.
Okay, so let's do Cora during that dance. Okay, being that you both didn't get a great deal to do with Eclipse because she absolutely nailed the serving the notice. So Cora, you take a moment before joining the dance to take a look around, and it takes you about a minute to scan this seething throng of people. And then you see her. She is talking loudly. She has a goblet of something. So neither a tankard nor a glass. She has what seems to be a sizable pewter goblet with some sort of dark liquid inside it. And she's talking very animatedly to a tiefling gentleman. So the tiefling seems to be making kind of wisecracks, and he's got bluish purple skin, white horns, white eyes, and he seems to be dressed in some sort of kind of like a jerkin with toggles, and then what I guess is kind of basic trews, but of a reasonably good material. And you notice that he's got kind of lounge slippers on. So again, expensive looking kit. The shirt and trousers version of robes. And he's... Oh no, okay, she's back. And
I accidentally pressed the general channel and I
thankfully it didn't rearrange everybody.
Oh, thank God.
You're thinking that he's some sort of caster, Kate, and he's got this kind of sly, slimy look on his face, a little wisecracking, very full of himself. He says something to Ola, and she's in the middle of drinking at the time. He says something, and suddenly she just starts laughing, bellowing laughing, and as she does so, the drink is spraying from her lips. She grabs hold of a nearby napkin, pats her face down, and pats down the table where she spat the drink, while still in hysterics. And she's tilting back in her chair. She is bellowing with laughter to the point where you can just about hear it over the music. The music is pretty loud, and the susurrus of people talking as well, but you just about hear it. She seems quite heavily in her cups. Okay.
Is there anyone around her that I recognize?
Roll me it'll be a history check.
Mm, 12.
12. You think you recognize one of the guys who are listening to the tiefling, but you can't quite place who he is. You think that you may have seen him back when your father worked in the mine, the mine that she runs as the governor, and they're saying, yeah, I'm sure he's probably one of her top level guys. You just can't quite place who it is. Quite strange, actually, that she would have anybody from the mine with her at an event such as this. Normally, she detested the mine and the people who work in it, and she would go there, do what she needed to do, and leave and enjoy high society, never looking back. But apparently, she's got this guy with her, and he seems like he's done well for himself. He's wearing fine clothing. You can see rings on his fingers that are quite clearly made of gold. Some gems on him as well. So maybe he's kind of like an under director or something like that now. Done well for himself. And yeah, she's drinking heavily and laughing to the point where she's having trouble breathing about what this tiefling said.
Did you say they were standing up or sitting at a table?
They're sitting at a table.
How close to that area can I get while still on the dance floor to Earwig?
You can get within 15 foot if you're going to stay on the dance floor. However, there's a table within 10 foot. behind them if you wanted to go and just sit down and take the load off.
What, an empty table?
Yeah, it's just an empty
table.
I
see.
Yeah.
I will just edge while on the dance floor because we literally just came to the dance floor, so I just want to see if I can overhear anything while still dancing.
Okay, you only hear one sentence, and it seems like this is a punchline of one of the many things that the tiefling's saying. And the tiefling is saying something. He's getting progressively louder. You're straining to hear. And then he says, and then, of course, he walks downstairs, completely starkers, and he says, "That's how the game is played." And at that point, Ola roars into another laughter. You notice that one of the guys who's nearby, every time she kind of laughs and puts down her goblet momentarily, he picks up the carafe, refills the goblet. They seem to be topping up a drink, getting her as rip-roaringly drunk as they can.
This doesn't look like a worker in the ballroom. It looks like... Does it look like a worker of hers? Does it look like
this guy's a completely different guy. He's not doing it sneakily. I mean, topping up someone's drink isn't necessarily an aggressive act. But he is doing it consistently. You're watching him only for a couple of minutes, and when it gets to the point where she puts down the drink, immediately his hand automatically goes to it. This is just a human, blonde-haired, brown-eyed, roughly pale skin with freckles. He's dressed in what seems to be... He's quite young. He's kind of about 19. He's dressed in what seems to be kind of a squire's costume, I guess. So he seems to be attending them. You don't know whether this lad has been told to keep her glass full by her or by somebody else, but he is doing it like... Even if it was his job, if he was some sort of lackey squire, he would be like, "Oh, right, okay, I'm pouring." Again, he would be doing it lackadaisically. He's doing it very quickly. The second that the glass is down, his hand is on the neck of the carafe and pouring the wine. Okay.
Do I see anybody else paying close attention to her and the group?
They've got a small entourage around them, mostly people who are listening to the tiefling. They're in a group of about 11 people.
Okay.
So that's
Ola. Do I see anyone more distant, though?
You want
like
people...
anyone doing kind of what I'm doing?
Who else is doing what I'm doing?
Can I roll?
You can roll a perception check with disadvantage.
Okay. Oh, that's... Oh, well, no, it doesn't... That one's slightly cocked, although it's a 1, but I can re-roll ones, so I don't know. In theory, I need to re-roll it anyway, because it's cocked.
Yeah, that
It's better. Perception, yeah?
Yeah.
21.
Wow.
Oh, wait,
okay.
Disadvantage.
Yeah.
Wait, disadvantage. I was so confident there.
21 with
12. Not quite as much. 21 disadvantage would be like, how? How is that possible?
Okay. Well, the figure that I rolled a 4. So you beat them.
Okay.
There is a wood elf who is wearing a green dress with jade inlay. So a kind of bluish jade inlay that seems to be in vine-like patterns all over the dress. You have a feeling that this particular style will probably nestle up quite nicely to what Farewell's currently wearing. And but it's not made out of natural materials. It's not made out of living materials. But it certainly looks that way, and it's got aquamarines and bluish greens throughout the motif. she's kind of sitting on the edge of a table, and she looks like she's taking in all of the room. But you do notice that as she's scanning, and she seems to be not very expertly scanning the entire room, but then always pausing just that little bit on Ola's group. And as you're watching, you do get a glimmer of something. You're not entirely sure. I will allow an insight check if you wish. But you think you see the beginnings of a scowl. Now that you're
yeah, I'd like to roll insight, please.
Yep. Now that you're locked onto her, no disadvantage. Roll for it, and I shall roll.
Oh, that's so close to a 1 again.
Well, I got a 3.
Sorry, this is insight. Oh, okay. Well, where is insight? Oh, is there 3? Okay. 16.
Okay. You're not entirely sure who she's looking at, but you do get just that momentary flash. Just when you're focusing on her, you manage to notice that moment where the face contorts. God, this is like an episode of Lie to Me. You get that moment where her lip sneers up, the eyebrows furrow, just before she relaxes her face again so that she has this passive, very elven indifference. But for a second there, you get a flash of intense hatred. And at that point, she's looking at not the entire group, but someone in the center. It is either the squire, Ola, the tiefling, or the ex-mine worker, who might still be a mine worker, but of a higher rank. She looks at their direction, and there's this sneer, this scowl, this flash of momentary hatred. Okay?
And so I can tell it's not at Ola.
You know it's one of 4 people, one of which is Ola. But you're not sure which.
Right, okay.
Okay. But it could definitely be that Ola is the person that is being sneered at. Okay. I'm going to move back to Iden. So, as you are drinking Iden, you're absorbing a lot of the conversation around you. Most of it is boring, petty. It's about current fashions and fads and meaningless bullshit and gossip that you really couldn't care less about. Some people, once again, try to engage you in conversation, mostly when they're talking about politics or the state of, I don't know why I'm going back into Dwarvish, politics or the state of a particular business or trade. People mostly trying to get you on side. You know, the type of thing where 2 people are talking about something and somebody's so insecure about their position in the debate or conversation or opinion that they've given that they've just turned round to a random stranger and goes, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? And you're just there just doing the stereotypical eyed and blank face until they feel awkward and carry on the conversation.
Anytime someone does that, I just give them a very tired glare.
Yeah. The patented Iden blank stare of, you're talking to me. You should not be talking to me. A few people actually notice your badge. For anybody who wasn't watching last week, Iden has a badge that says, I can't remember it verbatim, so I will let Rodrigo say it. It's something like, if you attempt...
It said like, don't try to charm me, I will stab you.
Yep. Which some people thought was actually a very good fashion statement. But for the most part, people, when they see the blank stare, look at your badge and very, very quickly go back to resuming their conversation. You do hear that Baron starts speaking to a dwarven woman. And he says, heard about your run of bad luck. It's Harsh, here, get this down your neck. Thankfully, everything here is free. I'm sure you'll recover soon. And she goes, oh, well, thank you for that, love. But I don't know how I'm going to get out of this one. I mean, I still have to fulfill the contract, so I guess I'm going to be paying for more dragon parts out of my own pocket. But I don't know how it went wrong. I mean, I left it there. I left it all brewing overnight and all the rest of it, and I came back and everything was wrong. I mean, it wasn't just one part that went wrong. All of it went wrong. You know, back when I was younger, I would have watched it overnight, but you know, I've done it just so many times, love. You know, I've done it so many times, and I've got all the best equipment, and you know, what I want to know is what the imp was doing at the time. I mean, I'd set it to do its usual thing, but I haven't been able to summon the damn thing since. So yeah, I don't know, and yeah, I just, you know, that's what 4,000 dragons that I've got to pay out, I guess. So yeah, they're going to be coming to collect as well. So bully for me. She grabs hold of the spirit, which you think is like it's a clear liquid. It's either a vodka or a gin. And he starts to try to put a mixer in with it, and she necks it. Puts it back down, taps it again. He this time grabs the what now is clearly gin and the mixer and pours them in simultaneously so that she doesn't head him off at the pass like she did with the first one. And he goes, hey, you tried your best and it smells like sabotage. She was like, who would have got in to do that? And you can tell she's kind of swaying a little bit in the chair now. And he's going, look, I know you're in a predicament. Of course you are. I mean, you've been dealing with high-level stuff for many, many years, but won't the guild help you out? And, you know, she's part of the way through the drink, because it's a longer conversation than this, but obviously I'm truncating it for you. And she goes, nope, this is all signed and sealed. The contract is there. The fact that I have admitted to not being there at the time means that the insurance isn't going to pay out. Bully for me. I don't have a patron because I rely on the guild, and as a result, I've got to sort this out myself. So my life savings is going to go to making a potion, just so some guy can feel a little bit younger. A fucking dragon tonic, really, dragon tonic. And slams the glass down on the bar. As she does so, as anybody who slammed a glass down sees, the way a kind of shockwave goes through the drink at the bottom. It splashes up, hits her in the face, and she goes, just great. She fishes around inside a little waistcoat. She's wearing kind of silk trousers, a blouse, and over the top of the blouse she's wearing this lovely little embroidered waistcoat. No buttons, it doesn't do up, so it just kind of sits around her body. She kind of ferrets inside, pulls out a silk handkerchief and starts to wipe it off her face, and she goes, I may as well enjoy tonight though, hey? To your good health, and hopefully to the continuation of mine. She goes to drink, and as she pulls the glass up to her lips, a hand snakes around her head, puts the hand on top of the glass, and she goes, hey! Looks up and goes, oh, you again. And standing there is a half-orc in a business suit. A business suit, obviously, is different to business suit here. This business suit is more of a clerk's suit. So navy blue, normally it would have a cravated shirt with it. This shirt does not have the cravat. Well, it doesn't have the big kind of ruffled cravat. Instead, it's just a very small kind of diamond-shaped, kind of a triangle diamond-shaped piece of silk at his throat, which is bright red. and as I say, probably kind of tough velvet trousers, and you can see very substantial boots, almost like workman's boots, but they are clean, they are new, they are shined, but you could almost imagine them having steel toe caps or even hobnails on them, which would sound quite loud on this floor if it wasn't for the cacophony around you. And the half-orc goes, "You want to keep yourself a clear head, love." She goes, "And why exactly is that?" And he goes, "Because if you don't sort things out in the next few days, you're going to end up dead, little one." She goes, "You can't talk to me like that. It's not even my deadline yet. I've got a week." He goes, "You honestly think you're going to be able to get those parts within a week? What's the default clause of that contract? Huh? How much are you going to have to pay? Huh? Huh? Yeah. You should be fearing, love." The Viscount doesn't take kindly to someone taking his parts, claiming that they know what they're doing, and then getting rid of the last remnants of the last dragon he slew. Those things don't grow on trees. What are you going to do? Go out and best a dragon yourself? Nah. Speculate to accumulate, little one. You should just about have enough money if you mortgage your shop, sell everything other than the tools you need. You should be able to get decent enough ingredients. And don't think about going out and just getting any old ingredients. We're going to want receipts. We're going to want to know that you got exactly the same stuff that we supplied you with. Now chop chop, get off that bloody stool, leave this place, get sober, I'm sure you got a potion for that, and get working. Because if not, we'll be after you. The Viscount considers this a personal insult. And at this point, when he says personal insult, the gnome's face goes white. Baron kind of steps forward. You can tell he's wanting to do something, but he can't think of what he can do, and he's just like,
well, this is happening. I'm just like, don't be an idiot, Aiden. Don't be a fucking idiot. Don't be an idiot. And I say to him, look, you screwed them over. Like, you already screwed them over more than enough. Why do you have to be a cunt to them while they're just trying to get drunk?
He turns to you and goes,
"Oh, classic Aiden.
It looks like we have a volunteer. You, sir."
I volunteered to nothing. I just want you to stop being such a fucking dick.
Roll initiative.
Are we noticing this?
With disadvantage because of the amount that you've drunk. Actually, no, I'll be fair. Do a constitution saving throw first, then we'll see whether you get disadvantage or not.
Okay, thank you. 20 total.
You're like, alcohol? What alcohol? Roll initiative straight. No disadvantage.
7.
Okay. You have a feeling that you just misjudge it. That's all. You just misjudge it. This isn't a combat per se. You think that he's going to do that kind of intimidating move where he flinches as if he looks like he's about to hit you. And you're just like, I know this one. I'm not going to flinch. And you don't flinch. As he slaps you, no damage taken, other than to your pride, but he slaps you with the back of his hand. Whack! It causes a sound that reverberates enough that everyone within 4 people at the bar suddenly looks at what's about to happen, and he goes, "You, sir, you have slighted me, and you have slighted me with a vulgarity that is beyond your station and this event. I challenge you to a duel."
I want to do something. Is it my turn now? I pick my drink.
Yeah.
I pick my drink,
Yeah.
and I start gulping it. And while I do it, I bite my lip, and I cast Blood Curse of the Binding.
Okay. Absolutely. So what do I have to do? You're
13. Strength saving throw of and it has to be at a 13.
okay. So strength saving throw for this fella. Okay, he's got a good chance of. Okay, so yeah, he does beat 13. I'm afraid. So
damn it.
You watch as the spell starts to take effect. As he's there and he's talking, and he gets the part where he says, you have insulted me in a way that is beyond your station and not in keeping with this event. Was that magic? Was that magic?
Does it look... I just tell him, does it look like I gave a shit about your station?
He bellows, and now everyone at the bar and on the nearby tables hears as he goes, "This man has attacked me at this event. I will have satisfaction. Tomorrow morning, this whelp will die. I will have your name, sir."
My name?
I will have your name, sir.
How about the stick up your ass? Is that good for you?
He's gonna have to do a check. He's gonna have to do a check. Okay, he passes. He balls his fist. It starts flying through the air and it stops about 3 inches from your face. And he goes, "Name or not, I will find out your name. And if you are not at the dueling grounds here in the central square, tomorrow at sunrise, I will hunt you down and I will kill you. And
Buddy,
I will not wait for you to draw your sword."
I look at him and I say, "Buddy, I've seen things far scarier than..."
Oh boy.
He just looks at you.
De-escalating
You
right
a
arm.
good idea to bring Aiden.
Perfect idea.
I didn't want to be here.
I love it. I love this so much.
I've seen things far scarier than you. I don't know what you're trying to accomplish.
He spits on the floor in front of you. He says, "You can have
Oh, wow, scary.
You can have my name. Torok Groshal. Know the name of the man who will kill you."
I don't care.
And then, in an act that gets everybody going, "Whoa!" including Baron, he grabs the head of the gnomish woman, grabbing her by the hair on the back of her head, and what you can see as quite painfully pulls her head around to look at you, brings his heavily tusked mouth down to her ear and says, "Tomorrow you'll attend and watch what will happen to you if you do not comply with my patron's wishes." And then as Baron basically reaches out, and as he reaches out, you can tell that magic is starting to ripple across the palm of Baron's hand. He reaches out to the orc, and the orc kind of just pulls his hand away and goes, "That won't be necessary." And Baron goes, "No, but you're leaving now, pal. You are leaving now. This may not be my event, but this is my bar, and you are leaving now." And the orc goes, "Ha, make me." And Baron goes, "Gladly." Suddenly, arcane energy flashes across the dwarf's eyes, and he just says, "Leave." And as he does so, the orc's face suddenly goes almost cow-like in its passiveness. He suddenly just stares into space, turns almost like a sergeant major. He turns a perfect quarter turn to the right and walks out of the room. Baron's eyes are still burning with arcane energy, as the orc walks out of the first set of double doors and then out of the foyer and down the stairs. Baron goes. At that point, the eyes, Baron's eyes, the light in them disappears. He turns to you and goes, "Whatever preparation you want for tomorrow, lad." Pulls out his card, says, "I'm staying here tonight. I'll help you with whatever you need to knock that guy down."
Tell us. Tell us. Did any of us notice this at all?
Wait, who is telling me to keep saying this right now? I kind of lost track of what was going on.
So, I'll tell you where you all are. Farewell and Eclipse at this point are trying not to fall over on the dance floor. There is a disturbance at the bar, but there's always a disturbance. It's a bar, so you don't even get a check. Glory is currently dancing with a very lovely lady. And let's put it this way. She succeeded on many perception checks, none of which are in your direction. The only person I will give a chance at disadvantage is Cora. Cora, at that moment, was scanning the room to see if she could find anyone and found the wood elf. So I will give you a perception check with disadvantage to see if you can notice that it was Aiden who was part of the disturbance at the bar.
Go, Cora!
Go, Cora.
Be Aiden's savior in glowing red clothes.
Did you say perception?
It is perception with disadvantage.
I'm not going to be a savior. I rolled a 2 and a 7. So... Oh.
That's a 2.
Sorry, I just realized I was listening to the stream and not you, so I was delayed very much there. Sorry. It's 2 and a 7. So 2 add 3 is 5.
Okay, yeah. Unfortunately, some idiot at the bar has started a fight. What a dickhead, right? So, as the bar starts to quiet down, the gnome finishes her drink. She seems to be almost vibrating with rage, Aiden, and she suddenly just slams the glass down. The glass cracks, and a chip falls off the top. She kind of goes, fuck. Picks up the piece of glass, puts it back on the glass chip, puts it back on the glass, waves her fingers, and you watch as the crack decracks in reverse using the mending cantrip.
Well, that's impressive.
And she goes, "Here's my card as well, love." Gives you her card, and she says, "I'll dig out what potions can help you out, but this is only going to get worse."
I'm sure it will. I'm sure.
She jumps off the bar stool and goes, "I better get home." And
that's a good idea. Try not to get yourself killed or jumped by anyone.
And you have a card for Morag Mogwort, apothecary and alchemist.
Oh, good job! Someone's making connections.
Yeah, someone's making connections and dueling to the death.
Yeah.
Yes.
As it should be.
We trust you, Aiden. We trust you.
Did the orc give me his card too?
No, who was
it?
The barman.
Oh, the barman. Okay, sorry, I lost track of what happened in that last bit.
Yeah, you got Baron Brackwater's card, and he says he'll help you with whatever he can. You've got Morag Mogwart's card, and she said she'll see if there's a potion that she can kind of use to help you as well. And Tarot Groshal is the guy who is going to attempt to kill you tomorrow in a duel.
All right.
Good luck with that.
Okay.
Drinking.
Right.
Once I've finished dancing with Eclipse, sorry, I forgot your character name then for a second. My brain skipped a beat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look around now. I'm going to make the assumption I can't see Cora because she's moved. And what I'm going to do is... shit, she's going to look for shit. And what I'd like to do is try and make a look for... the Soul Racker as well. Because I've just got this horrible feeling going through my head that, well, Farewell's closest friend has gone and done something reckless after worrying so much about Eclipse and being proven that he's a little bit too much of a warrior. She's a professional. She knows what the fuck she's doing. That his friend is now in serious danger. So can I do a check?
Meanwhile, I'm the one who's gonna do it.
Yeah, I like the meanwhile.
So yes, you can do a check to see where Cora is. Cora, you sat down at the table. You're at the edge of the dance floor, looking like you're watching the dancing and then kind of looking around the room, aren't you?
Because I'm guessing that they're all sitting. I'm guessing that it's a bit like, I don't know, Come Dancing, where there's a dance floor and everyone's sitting around. But so I'm assuming that I'm not looking like I'm watching the dancers. I'm like doing the sort of like, I'm dancing on my own just fine, however they dance.
Yep.
But I'm looking around. So I'm still dancing, but I'm clearly looking at all the people. Maybe as if I'm like thinking who to mingle with or whatever. But I'm very much focused on this elf right now.
You do get a few people who want to dance with you, Cora. So you either turn them away or give them like a small dance, because you are the girl who is burning right now with this crystalline lava suit. So you do get some attention, but it doesn't get in the way of you doing what you need to do.
If someone approaches me to dance, then I will dance with them, but because it's a good disguise-ish. But I'm doing the sort of like I'm dancing with you, but I'm looking at someone else kind of thing. So
yeah,
I'm doing a bit of that.
That's fine. I mean, they don't take
I'm engaging with you, but I'm also looking at this and trying to be social so that I don't look. Yeah. I don't want to be like standing on my own and refusing to dance with people if that will draw attention to me. So
yeah, so that's absolutely fine, because part of why people come here is to be seen and to check out other people, check out rivals, check out the status, check out the local fashions and things like that. So looking around the room is something you don't really have to hide a great deal. All you have to do is hide your reactions, just in case somebody goes, "Oh, how that person's looking at me? How do they feel?" So you're scanning the place. So yeah, that's absolutely fine. In that case, yes, Farewell, you can definitely see Cora. The one thing I was going to say is that
I rolled 21 anyway.
You don't need to roll. She is in shining crystalline lava costume. Yeah, you just follow the light source. Okay.
I wish I could be that cool. I can't remember that. But that's fine. And so I'm going to relax. I'm going to see that she's enjoying herself. I can see that Glory is absolutely enjoying herself, and will chuckle at that and just Eclipse. If anyone asks, I need to go find somebody.
All right.
Don't worry. What?
Yeah, no. When you said find somebody, I think I should go and check on Aiden and see how he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, he'll either have done one or two things. drunk himself to the point where they've hidden him behind the bar or gotten himself thrown out. There is absolutely no way he's ever going to get involved in anything. You know what he's like.
Ever.
Well,
Yes.
you know, he pretends that he doesn't give a shit, but he often will do something that will upset somebody and they'll ask him to leave. So it's probably good that at least one of us is looking after him.
Yeah. So I will go and see what he's up to.
That's so fun.
Eclipse will head to the bar because that is where she knows that I know how to.
If you need me, I've got my little mark
Yeah.
on me. It's hidden somewhere in these leaves. So I'm going to go and see if I can find Hobra.
Yeah. When I go off the dance floor, I drop my illusion, by the way, so I'm back to the hideous outfit.
It's still growing on me, you know. I still think
Your
I might
outfit
understand.
is growing on you.
Indeed, literally.
You say that, but I think it suits you. But yes, I'm going to now go find and see if I can find Hobra.
Okay. Yep. Hobra is currently noting down two sides of what you can only assume is the same story. There's two very red-faced human males who are kind of talking to her frantically about a shipment that got lost at sea. One of them is claiming that it was piracy, and the other one is claiming that it was an inside job. They are debating very heavily about it, and she's trying to tell them that she's got it all down, and she's trying to get away from them. So every time she tries to walk away, one of them puts a hand on her shoulder and goes, "And another thing." And she kind of sighs, flips open her little book again, and starts. Well, I'm not even going to give you an insight check. I'm just going to give it to you. You think she's pretend writing in her book. You're a notebook aficionado, and you've got a crazy amount of wisdom. So I'm just going to give it to you. She's not writing in her book anymore. She's just pretending to, so that these people feel like they're being listened to. But you can tell she's trying to get away.
Cool. I'm just going to cut across straight into it and be like, "Excuse me, are you fucking notes? Come on." She's not fucking notes. You are Hobra. Are you Hobra Winterscribe?
She suddenly cuts in and goes, "Oh yes, of course. I completely forgot about our interview. I'm terribly sorry, Vivian. Gentlemen, you will excuse us. Member of the Raven Queen's flock, very important person. Obituaries, you know how it is. She grabs hold of you by the arm and goes, "Get me away! Get me away! Get me away now! Get me away now!"
Yes. Okay. Come on. And I'll just walk into a quiet corner.
Sure. She actually walks
a balcony.
Yes.
Yeah. She quite happily takes it.
Yeah.
She goes, "I don't know what it is you want to talk to me about, but you have my full fucking attention. Oh my god. Do you know how long ago that shipment disappeared? 3 weeks ago. It's not news. It's not even old. It's a completely different thing." Anyway.
It sounds like you've had one hell of a night. My name's Farewell, by the way. It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
She goes,
I've
"Sorry,
read
terrible Mary,"
and
she notes down your name in the notebook. She goes, "How can I help you?"
What do you know about potentially magical artifact lore? I won't lie, I'm being perhaps a little mercenary and I'm leading you down a garden path, and I'm not even going to pretend that there is any innocence here.
Items, okay. Are we talking about the recent raid on Zev the Enchanters? Because I do know it was you guys. If you're wanting to give me details on how you got rid of one of the biggest con men in enchanting, I am all ears. I'm happy to take down anything for the history records.
As soon as she mentions his name and that he was taken down, there's just this look of absolute sorrow on his face. Just complete guilt just radiates off him.
So not talking about Zev.
I would appreciate that.
Okay. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead and trying to be a smartass. What can I talk to? What can I help you with?
I'm looking for an obsidian box. Now, I know before you say anything, you and about 1 million other people, or well, there's about the same amount in the world. This one's unique.
Okay. So something that's a specific artifact, not just a decorative obsidian box.
Yeah.
Okay.
Imagine a box that you could fill with anything, no matter shape, size, or amount, and it always disappears. But you don't get anything back.
So better than
nothing changes.
Okay, so hang on. So it's better than a bag of holding in that it can be any size, even bigger than the box.
Yeah, but it never comes back. It's gone.
Sounds like a pretty bad box of holding to me, but okay. So a box that you can put anything in, regardless of size or amount, it never comes back, and it's made of obsidian, you say?
Yeah.
Okay. She starts noting down the particulars, and she goes, I can look into it for you. I'm assuming that you're, with confidence, asking me as the Oviate, as the representative of the Oviate, to check this out for you?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a family rather than a professional thing.
Of course. We provide that service. If it requires anything more than a cursory search, I will be asking some form of fee. That's normally if I have to put extra agents onto it. But I can certainly do that research for you. You understand that my research will be through news. Yes, it will be through stories and news that is given by the public, and not any form of academic research. For that, you would need to go to an arcanist or the university.
I can handle the academic side myself. I would suggest focusing maybe around fades. There's been an experience that has left me to, I think, sort of come to put two and two together. So you might find it be better if you look into both things as they may be connected.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, you said it's a family thing, so I'm doing this for you, not for the church?
That's correct.
And I have to ask, not for Renata Green?
Definitely not.
Okay. I'm fine with that. It's just I need to ask. Obvious reasons is that if this is the Green Organization asking the Oviate Consort to do something, that's a faction asking a faction for something, in which case we would probably cash in and ask for a favor in return. But if this is you personally asking, I can attempt to do that. Obviously, the only arrangement I would have with you is that if you're involved with anything, I would want to know. I would want to be able to have you accessible, so that I could get the truth of whatever revolves around you, whether it's about this box or anything else of note. And being that you're here at this event, you're clearly a person of note. How can I get hold of you?
You'll have to remind me, Simon, because it's buried deep in pages of notes. What's the pub called again?
The Hawk and Harness.
Hawk and Harness.
You can usually find me at the Hawk and Harness, or there is somebody in Freetown called Greta. You can find them, and they can pass the message on to me, or you can find me directly at the Hawk and Harness.
Greta's quite a common name. Any surname?
The Bloody.
Greta the Bloody. I am fascinated.
You are gonna love them. If you like stories, prepare to have your ears hopefully not chewed off, but they will definitely talk. Whilst I have your attention, what can you tell me about that orc over there? And I'm going to point down because I'm going to assume that with 21 I found it. Yeah. Found the fucking hell, I'm terrible with names tonight.
Ola Soraka.
Yeah, Soraka at a table, and I'm just going to do it. What can you tell me about them?
Ola Soraka is a governor of the nearby mine, of the Eastern Mine. So, Ostergold, I don't know if you know, means Eastern Gold. And she has the most eastern of the three gold mines here. She has the most eastern gold mine, the one nearest the coast. They say that if you go down deep enough...
Everybody knows about the mine. Come on. You've been enough of these parties, and you and I are insightful enough to be aware of. Okay. I want to know the person.
As the public sees her. Okay. Some criticize her as cruel, brash, decadent, to the point of almost being hedonistic. She has been criticized, obviously I cannot confirm this as truth, but she's been criticized as one who cuts corners. Other than that, she seems to have the ear of the Duke, and as much as people consider her brash, loud, and uncultured, she does have the ear of quite a few people here as well. Not due to any personal affability, but money. To have access to her is to have access to many influential money streams and a lot of connections, very profitable connections. As such, she is sneered about behind her back, but to her face, everyone's polite, and she has an invite to every function in the city. So, yes, and few will criticize her. She hasn't got a great love for me or the bards and oviates of the city. She believes that sometimes we have recorded some things that are untrue about her as truth. Whereas my defense is that I have recorded opinions, and that those opinions are true in that they are opinions. It's kind of how things work when you haven't got absolute evidence. Saying that, if you can give me anything that will confirm or deny, to be fair, any of these rumours, I am all ears and will pay handsomely for them.
I look forward to working with you in the future, and I hold out my hand.
Thank you. Do you know about the policy?
You'll have to be specific. Unfortunately, I've got several large books of divine lore. I know a little bit about the city's litigation, a few village normals. Sorry, I don't really know.
A few years ago, there was a terrible cave-in at Olosoraka's mine. One of the shafts collapsed, and they spent a large amount of time clearing away the rubble, recovering the bodies, and returning them to their families. The families tried to press for compensation, more than was given, which was considered a pittance at the time. And part of what they used for evidence, being that they weren't allowed access to the mine themselves, were the bodies themselves. And they were used in some part for evidence. Being able to speak to the dead, of course, being one of the many advantages of having clerics like yourself within the city. Any clerics who have got a reasonably strong connection with their god. Since then, the mine has stated, for safety reasons, that any collapsed tunnel must stay collapsed. Because to open the tunnel and to take out rubble from a mine shaft that's already collapsed will put the rescuers at danger, and also will threaten to collapse other parts of the mines. You die in Ola Soraka's mine now. That remains your tomb.
I don't like that.
Me neither. That's not a policy for the other two mines, despite that all policy is supposed to be proposed by the governors, but ratified by the Duke. Why would he ratify it for Ola's mine, but not for the other two? The north and west mines operate as normal, and with a lot less scandal. There's something about Ola Soraka's mine that just doesn't add up. If you can find anything that will point in that direction, I'm all ears and ready to reward for your efforts. With that, she flips the book shut, looks around, nods satisfied that nobody overheard, and walks back into the party. It is 9 minutes to 11, and that's where we'll end this session.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't believe you started a fucking duel.
That's if he actually turns up. He's not going to turn.
He well will.
He will, because
The guys-
the lady's in trouble, and Aiden has secretly a heart of gold and can't let people suffer.
Oh, yeah, that's
You're
true. There's
right.
blackmail
You
involved.
made that specifically to bait that out, didn't you, Simon? You
course.
fucking knew.
He did. He's a GM. That's his job.
Sometimes you need kicking.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
goddamn
especially Aiden.
duel, man. I mean, of all the things you could have done, you could have just fucking duel. There's rules to duels. You should have just had a fight.
Yeah,
There's
just
no
a bar
rules
brawl.
there.
Yeah, just like I was saying, stab him, stab him, stab him. But you did not listen.
Exactly. Just
Do you
stab
think?
him.
Do you really think that I'm gonna play like that I'm gonna play by the rules during a duel? Like, do you think
No.
Aiden is gonna fucking abide by the rules?
No. Blood curse to you, blood curse to you, blood curse to you. Stab, stab, stab.
Like, honestly, like the only thing that I didn't want things to escalate further. I just want but blood, like, sadly the blood curse requires to roll strength. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
By the way,
remember that next time and start baning your victims for you, shall I?
Yeah.
It's a good combo.
By the way, Simon, how?
Don't forget to always put guidance on him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guidance. Simon, have we leveled? By the way, because
Yes, as of this session. So when you didn't quite get to the part where it would be essential for you to level, but going into the next session, it will be essential. Okay, so
yeah, I can imagine why.
so you will have a little bit of the soiree left. So I've got, Aiden has pretty much already got a date with some screen time. So
Except he's gonna go find Aiden and find out that he has a duel, and I don't know. Either congratulate him or scold him, one of the two.
Or both.
Or both.
I'm looking forward to that conversation where it's like, Aiden, how's it going? Oh, not bad. Got a duel tomorrow morning, that kind of thing.
Aiden is living up to the spirit of the party. This This is how it's supposed to be.
Is it?
She's from Skalra. What do you expect?
Yeah. This is
Ugh.
good Skalran stuff for you, Glory. So in order, as I've got here, I've already said about Iden. Nick has already kind of waded into a few different things and using Hobra, using the Oviate. Love it. We've got Kate, who is locked onto a mysterious wood elf who doesn't like either Ola or somebody in Ola's company. So we'll put the wood elf down with the cat as things to do. Glory is currently, she's spoken to one person, but there was a conversation that we haven't covered yet, which we will have to go back and cover. And that is the guy in his early 50s that asks how Renata is. Yep. Okay. As I was there going, okay, who do I give this to? Who do I give that to? And Iden started rocking on, and then it's like, I want to give Farewell a bit more time. And then thought, you know what? I'm going to open with that conversation. The conversation between you and the guy in his early 50s at the beginning of next session. And then, as I say, we'll see whether Cora wants to approach the wood elf, or at least try to figure out what's going on there. As for Eclipse, she's done some dancing. The stuff I had for her, she kind of nailed within a few rolls.
I'm hoping Thormund won't come and kill me, but I haven't done anything illegal. I've done a service to the city, and he can't really press any charges on me for giving me a letter.
Oh my god.
Well,
I love it how you're the one who's going, by the way, I have not done anything illegal. By the way.
I have not done anything illegal.
So, just because you didn't harm anybody doesn't mean you haven't necessarily done anything illegal. Yes, your role allows you to use certain assertions. But as I'm sure our regular viewers and I would say official ethics experts for the campaign, Rowan and Iden, would tell you, the level of consent that was placed on here when you charmed him is probably questionable on an ethical level. But screw that, it's D&D, and he was a dick. So
yes,
yeah,
and it made it go really, really smooth. That was the smoothest thing. Yeah, I was like, I hope this plan goes really well because this is my plan. Oh wow, I actually executed my plan. How does this happen in D&D? That this plan goes this well?
The answer is no.
Rowan, I promise I will stop that function of Nightbot because it's annoying me as well. Rowan, try to do a rant.
You can change it.
Yeah, and I will change it so that Rowan can have the moment of catharsis.
I would say disable most of Nightbot's settings until there's a point where you start to get trolled by people or it gets abused.
Yeah, I'm still discovering Nightbot. It's good, but I've just discovered a few annoying bits in this session. But we will sort that out. That's not a problem. Yeah. So, yes, interesting times. I think you can stream Rowan in lower pace. So, thank you, everybody. Thank you for all the players. You guys rocking it as usual and pushing on with the story. It's going to be a little bit of combat, and don't worry, in the near future, there's a lot more combat. There's a lot of portent, and then when everything breaks down...
Can we do a dungeon crawl soon? Because I wanna be Glory in combat again.
Yeah.
Not dungeon crawl, but
that doesn't
something.
require a dungeon crawl, though. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give you the spoiler. There's a dungeon crawl planned about 2 sessions away. So, yeah.
So that'll be about 4 sessions for us.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
Whenever I say how many sessions it's going to be, put a little asterisk there, and at the bottom of the screen do pending faffing players or something like that. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
We're pretty good good at dragging out shit, but that's kind of fun.
Yeah. So
it gives character growth.
Yeah.
yes.
I told my dad about this. Like, we've been playing for a couple of months now. I told him, yeah, it's been like 3 days game time so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, for you guys, well, actually, there's been a few days where you did nothing and you just kind of milled around for a bit. But
All right.
3 featured days, yeah. It is one of those things that, yes, we haven't had a huge amount of combat so far. When the shit hits the fan, there's going to be a lot of combat, and you'll be begging for these days. And, God forbid, we've done some role-playing. We've done some quite heavy role-playing in the last few sessions and got to know exactly what kind of characters we've got here. God help us. So, thank you very much to...
Glory is great.
Glory is terrifying. So thank you to our players. Thank you to our viewers. I mentioned 2 of them already, as say Aiden and Rowan, who it's always fantastic to see you guys turning up and very much part of the Chaotic Neutral family now. And to everybody else who's turned up, and to anyone who watches this VOD, if you're watching after the event. We're definitely getting into who everybody is and fleshing out the city. It is a city game. I have had other games where it started with a complete dungeon crawl, and then afterwards it's like, so who are these guys who have just slaughtered every life form in this cave system? So we're doing it the other way around. We're getting to know the people first before I kill them in an encounter that I've clearly miscalculated. So anyway, thank you very much, everybody. It's been great, and we will see you same time next week. One last announcement before we go, and that is that I want to become an affiliate. Well, I want us to become an affiliate here on Twitch. So in order to do that, we need to be doing... What was that, guys? You're all cutting out.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish up, and then hopefully after I've switched off the stream, you guys can talk, and we'll chat about it. So, as I say, I want to have Chaotic Neutral as an affiliate because we get a few extra advantages. For that, we need to do more content. Oh dear. So in the next 30 days, I'm going to be doing a series of one-shots and looking at what we can do.
You froze, and we can't hear you at all, so by the way, but you're still on stream.
Okay, I'm still on stream, but you guys can't hear me. Okay. So I'm going to be doing a set of one-shots. So I'll be doing D&D 5th edition. I'll be doing Elite Dangerous, the role-playing game, which I got by chance.
Can we hear?
We can't
can they hear
him.
us?
We can't hear him, and he's still fucking going.
Yeah.
I'm still going because this is just an announcement, and I can hear you guys now. It seems to have caught up. So, despite the fact that we have internet connection problems and things like that, I'll be bringing other role players into some of the one-shots as well. So there'll be some people from the Abingdon Guild of Adventurers, which is the 60-odd strong role-playing group that we have in Oxfordshire. And I'll be mixing and matching with some of the existing players as well to be able to do some one-shots, as I say, using D&D 5th edition, Elite Dangerous, and the my bastardized version of the World of Darkness system, which I use for humans, zombies, post-apocalyptic games and things like that. So look out for that on social media. It'll probably be on the weekends or on Fridays. So thank you very much, everybody, and we will see you next week.
We need to hit 50 followers as well. Yay! Let's do that.
Yay.
Good night,
People are
everyone.
not following us. Follow us.